The story opens on a sprawling cityscape, ablaze with lights. Towering skyscrapers pierce the night sky, their neon signs flickering brightly. A luxurious car sits parked by the roadside, buffeted by howling winds and torrential rain. Inside the Mercedes, the dim lighting only enhances the opulent and lavish atmosphere. Inside the car, a man and a woman are passionately entangled, in a scene definitely not suitable for children. Quan presses close against Song Zhao, her breath coming in ragged gasps, her soft lips tracing the line of his throat. Suddenly, he grasps her wrist, his gaze burning with an intensity that seems to pierce her very soul. His voice, low and warm, questions her, Quan, are you playing me? Breathless, her cheeks flushed with a delicate blush, Quan's eyes sparkle as she gazes at him. Her hand gently caresses him, gliding from his neck to his firm chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart. She murmurs a soft a playful smile playing on her lips, clearly enjoying herself. Seeing his composure, Quan boldly removes his glasses, revealing his deep, captivating eyes. Their foreheads touch lightly. Song Zhao stares into her glistening eyes, his voice dropping even lower. If you want to play, don't blame me. As soon as the words leave his lips, the passion between them ignites, unrestrained and undeniable. They embrace tightly, kissing fervently, as if the very air around them has grown hot. Lips and tongues intertwine, breaths quicken, and the temperature inside the car steadily rises. Time seems to stand still. They kiss until they're drenched in sweat, their world narrowed down to just each other. Skin against skin, heat radiating, a profound connection silently forged. Every cell in their bodies yearns for the other, the sweet scent of desire filling the air. Right from the start, the audience is showered with romantic moments. Netizens are recommending watching it now, guaranteeing a truly eye-opening experience. No matter how pure your heart, this scene is sure to leave you breathless. After the intense foreplay, the two surrender completely to the rising tide of passion. Quan is proactive and passionate, her soft moans filling the air as they become one. Emotions run high, time passes, the rain outside stops, and their passion gradually subsides. Quan gracefully adjusts her clothes, bending down to retrieve her high heels from outside the car, every movement imbued with allure. Song Zhao sits in the car, his gaze fixed on her. As she turns to leave, his gentle voice calls out, "Did you drink something you shouldn't have at the banquet?" She remains silent, a flicker of thought crossing her eyes, but she doesn't answer his question. After a moment, she softly says, "Thank you, President Song." Song Zhao chuckles, undoing a button on his shirt to reveal a red lipstick mark she left behind. "Just a thank you. Is that all I am, a plaything?" Quan remains composed, ignoring his words. She turns and gets out of the car, firmly closing the door behind her. Before leaving, she adds, "I'll treat you to dinner sometime." Only after her slender figure disappears into the night does Song Zhao look away. A knock on the window soon follows. He turns to see the mischievous eyes of his childhood friend, Liao Bai. Liao Bai teases, "Old Song, you managed to rock this heavy car. Seems like your back is in good shape." Liao Bai opens the car door and gets in, casually remarking, "That girl looked familiar. Isn't she the new project director at Wan Shang Group? But I thought she had a boyfriend, surnamed Xiao." Song Zhao calmly lights a cigarette, his tone nonchalant. "Oh, I don't know her." Liao Bai smirks, his voice full of teasing. "Keep pretending. Just keep pretending. Let's see how long you can keep this up." Song Zhao simply lets out a soft chuckle. Meanwhile, back at home, Quan immerses herself in the warm stream of water, washing away the day's fatigue. After a shower, she quietly slips into bed, ready to sleep. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through her head, causing her to frown. Inwardly, she curses the petty individuals at her company who were afraid she'd get in their way, resorting to such underhanded tactics. The events of the banquet flash through her mind, the details as clear as day. That one drink had complicated everything. Fortunately, she had run into Song Zhao, preventing things from getting worse. At this thought, a gentle smile unconsciously graces her lips. Unbeknownst to her, just a few hours earlier, a group of men had surrounded her, trying to get close, urging her on. Beautiful. Have a drink with Zhang. Bottoms up. The crowd suddenly erupted in excitement, and Quan looked up towards the source of the commotion. She saw a handsome man with a bright, sunny smile looking at her, raising his glass in a toast. Noticing her slight discomfort, Zhao gently approached and whispered, "Relax, it's just a drink. I'm not the type to force anyone." He leaned in close and murmured in her ear, "I'm sure we'll have many more opportunities to meet." Suddenly, a phone rang. It shattered the intimate atmosphere. The word "Mom" clearly displayed on the screen. Quan quickly answered, her voice softening. "Mom." Her mother's worried voice came through the phone. "Are you home yet?" She closed her eyes tiredly and replied, "I'm home." Lying down, knowing her daughter had been at a party, her mother worried she might be drunk and advised, "Remember to drink some honey water." Quan sat up slowly and asked, "Mom, is there still no news about Dad?" A long silence followed before her mother changed the subject. "Oh, it's about to rain. I have to bring in the laundry." She added, "Take care of yourself. Don't worry about things at home." Then she quickly hung up before Quan could say anything more. Quan looked sadly out the window at the drizzle that had begun to fall. Suddenly, a text message notification pulled her back to reality. The number was unfamiliar, but the message was impossible to ignore. "Director G, you left your underwear in my car." Outside, the rain intensified, the drumming against the window pane reminding her of earlier that night. She paused, lost in thought. Quan calmly replied, "Please throw them away. President's song." "Thank you." She quickly shook off the awkwardness, crawled into bed, and tried to fall asleep. However, the day's accumulated stress plunged her into a nightmare. Angry shouts and violent banging echoed in her dream. Anya, come out. You have to pay us back. Pay us back. Anya owes us 70 million. If he's not home, you have to pay. Back then, it was just Quan and her mother, two vulnerable women clinging to each other, trembling in fear before the menacing men. Quan and her mother pleaded helplessly, We don't have any money." Hearing this, the men grew even angrier. "No money. I see this house is worth something. Clear everything out. Throw it all out." They stormed into the house, ransacking everything, overturning furniture, and even shoving the mother and daughter. In the chaos, Quan's mother was pushed, her head hitting the floor hard, blood spreading around her. The painful memory jolted Quan awake, drenched in cold sweat. Realizing it was just a nightmare, she let out a long breath, but the heaviness remained. She raised a hand and gently rubbed her forehead. Then, she picked up her phone and texted her mother, "Mom, winter is coming. Buy some warm clothes. Don't be too frugal. We've paid off most of her debt." She transferred 10,000 yuan to her mother and promised, "Once I've paid off all the debt, I'll bring you here to live with me." The next morning, Quan appeared at work, her polished appearance drawing everyone's attention. Although she always stood out, today, even after she greeted them, her colleagues couldn't hide their curious glances and whispered amongst themselves. "I didn't expect her to be like that. She usually seems so proper," one murmured. Another clicked their tongue. "She's putting on an act. There are even photos. How can she deny it?" Although you can't see the man's face clearly in the photos, the gossipers are saying it's the new executive, the one who had Quan transferred here. Who would dare take pictures of him? The two female colleagues were engrossed in their conversation when they suddenly saw Quan approaching. One quickly nudged the other. "Stop talking. She's coming." Quan looked directly at them, her gaze icy, and they lowered their heads, intimidated. Quan extended her hand, her eyes sharp and resolute, the air around her seeming to freeze. Her colleague immediately understood and handed her the phone. The colleague explained nervously, "Director G, these photos were posted in the work group early this morning." The company executives received them in their emails too. On the phone screen were photos of Quan and Zhao in a passionate embrace. Seeing the photos, she thought, "This guy is really experienced. My face is clear, but only his chin is showing." Just then, her phone rang again. She answered softly, "Hello." A voice immediately responded, "Director G, Mr. Lee said to come to his office as soon as you arrive." She replied swiftly, "Understood. Also, please inform everyone that there's a meeting this afternoon." After hearing the confirmation, Quan left immediately, her steps firm and confident. The two colleagues behind her watched her elegant figure, secretly admiring her composure. To be able to calmly schedule a meeting at a time like this, truly admirable. standing at Mr. Lee's office door. Quan unintentionally overheard the conversation inside. Song Zhaoli's voice, cold and sharp, came through clearly. I heard the project leader caused a bit of a stir yesterday. Mr. Lee forced a smile, trying to explain. Where did you hear that? Those are baseless rumors. Song Zhaoli casually asked, Oh, really? I also heard there are photos. Mr. Lee quickly said, those photos are just intimate pictures of Director G and her boyfriend. We don't interfere in private matters. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli chuckled softly. Despite Mr. Lee's lengthy explanation, he only focused on the words young couple. Outside, Quan realized Song Zhaoli was in the office. She thought to herself, why is he here? Despite her curiosity, she maintained her professional demeanor and knocked softly on the door. After receiving permission, she entered with a confident smile. Song Zhaoli's gaze swept over her, an unreadable emotion flashing in his eyes. Mr. Lee said with a smile, President Song, Director G is here. If you don't believe me, you can ask her directly. Quan smiled brightly, but felt a little nervous inside. What would President Song like to know? He didn't answer, only saying coldly, it's unnecessary. Let's talk about the project. Mr. Lee quickly interjected, the conditions for this project are excellent. We haven't been able to allocate the funds yet, but if we can. Before he could finish, Song Zhaoli raised his hand to interrupt him, his tone icy. I don't want to hear excuses. Seeing his displeasure, Quan softly suggested, President Song, would you like to visit the site? Mr. Lee immediately added, I'll arrange a car to take you there right away. Song Zhaoli glanced at Mr. Lee, his tone probing. Mr. Lee, you're so busy. Do you have time to go personally? Mr. Lee immediately understood and quickly replied, I do have a lot to deal with. If you don't mind, let Director G take you. A flicker of satisfaction crossed Song Zhaoli's eyes, but his face remained indifferent. I'll follow the host arrangements. Quan couldn't help but wonder, what is he up to? She then invited him to leave with her, her steps elegant yet firm. They left the office together and headed towards the elevator. On the way to the construction site, they sat in the same car, the atmosphere slightly silent but not awkward. Quan took the opportunity to look through the documents on her computer and explained the construction site is currently underway. Foreman Wang has been cooperating with Wanshang for many years and is very trustworthy. After speaking, she glanced at Song Zhaoli, trying to gauge his reaction. He loosened his collar, revealing a section of his sexy neck. Noticing her gaze, Song Zhaoli turned his head, his voice low. Quan, are you finished? Her gaze landed on the faint mark on his neck, a distinct pink hickey that reminded her of last night's passion. Her face flushed instantly, her emotions churning. She quickly turned to look out the window, trying to hide her embarrassment. Her heart raced, unsure how to face him. After a moment, she replied softly, her voice gentle, I'm finished. Seeing her avoidance, Song Zhaoli suddenly moved closer, decreasing the distance between them, and asked in a low voice, are you afraid of me? Hearing this, Quan chuckled softly, her eyes confident. Why would I be afraid? I believe President Song is a gentleman. He looked at her, a meaningful smile playing on his lips, his deep gaze as if trying to see through her. Then he slowly said, don't worry, Director G. I won't pester you, and I won't force you to take responsibility. Just one night. The car drove for a long time, finally arriving at the construction site. After getting out of the car, Quan's expression turned serious, and she walked straight ahead, completely businesslike. Seeing her sudden aloofness, Song Zhaoli chuckled and teased, is Director G angry with me? She didn't even look at him, casually replying, no. They continued walking deeper into the construction site, arriving at the area that needed inspection. After looking around, Song Zhaoli felt that this project wasn't a gold mine. Quan noticed the doubt in his eyes and immediately switched to professional mode, explaining, President Song, this project isn't about making quick money. Its advantage lies in long-term, stable returns. He stared at her, his gaze sharp, as if he could see through everything. That's just theory. What guarantee can you give me? Quan smiled confidently and handed him the documents. Please take a look, President Song. The data will speak for itself. In the distance, Foreman Wang, the construction site manager, noticed the two distinguished-looking young people chatting animatedly. Recognizing the woman as Quan, he walked over and asked, Director G, why are you here? She smiled back, bringing a client for a visit. Foreman Wang nodded in reminder. The construction site is dangerous. You'd better wear a safety helmet. Quan thanked him and quickly put on a helmet. Seeing Song Zhaoli still standing there, she reminded him, President Song, you should wear one too. Be careful of falling objects. He picked up a helmet and looked at her with with a playful look. I don't know how to wear it. Do you want to help me? Director G. She was a little surprised by his request, but still smiled and nodded. Quan gently picked up the helmet and stood on tiptoe to help him put it on. This thoughtful and considerate gesture made the scene between them particularly harmonious, as if they were a match made in heaven. His gaze locked onto her delicate face, her porcelain skin glowing in the sunlight. He couldn't resist gently placing his hand on her slender waist, feeling its softness through her clothes. Startled, she took a step back, a flicker of confusion in her eyes, but quickly regained her composure, pretending nothing had happened. He beamed, his eyes full of joy. Thank you, Director G. His smile made her pause, thinking, it's just a thank you. Is it necessary to be this happy? She turned away, trying to hide her embarrassment, and said softly, you're welcome. Foreman Wong witnessed their intimate scene, making him wonder if there was something special between Director G and Song Zhaoli. She then continued to enthusiastically show him around, explaining the project's future plans in detail. Suddenly, her phone rang with a new message. Excusing herself, she opened her phone to check. There were 2 messages. Are you okay? Your boss just called me. I told them I was the one with you last night. She felt irritated, unsure how to react. A sly glint flashed in Song Zhaoli's eyes as he saw the messages. He curled his lip into a smirk. Your boyfriend is quite generous. He then turned and walked towards Foreman Wong, leaving her alone with her complicated emotions. Her face darkened. She quickly replied, we're over. Zhao quickly responded, be good, don't be silly. Our wedding is still on. I won't ask about last night, and you shouldn't dwell on those unpleasantries. Don't worry about our elders. Seeing these words, anger flared in her heart. She coldly replied, don't make me sick. After sending the message, she sighed, rubbing her forehead, feeling exhausted. Meanwhile, Foreman Wong and Song Zhaoli were chatting animatedly. Foreman Wong exclaimed, I didn't expect President Song to be so knowledgeable. It's rare to see a boss as experienced as you. Song Zhaoli laughed. I used to work on construction sites. I was just an ordinary worker. Hearing this, Quan immediately added coldly, you were a worker. You don't even know how to wear a hard hat. He turned to her and asked, where are you going next? She replied curtly, I'm going back to the company. Thank you, President Song. The car stopped in front of the Wanshang Group headquarters building. She got out, said goodbye to him, and walked quickly towards Mr. Lee's office. She knocked gently on the door and walked in. Mr. Lee, she said, President Song has left. Do you have any further instructions? Before she could finish, Mr. Lee slammed a stack of documents in front of her, scolding her sharply. Director G, I don't interfere with your private life, but you've seen it yourself. This morning's incident has seriously damaged the company's reputation. Don't you have anything to explain? She looked at him calmly and responded coldly, I have nothing to say. Her attitude further angered Mr. Lee. Your bonus for this month is docked. Write a self-criticism and send it to my email. She turned and left the office. Without another word, suddenly, her phone rang. It was an unknown number. She hesitated for a few seconds before answering, her tone cold. Who is this? Zhao said urgently, Quan, it's me, Zhao. Did you block me? Hearing his name, she just wanted to hang up immediately, wanting nothing more to do with him. But Zhao continued, Quan, don't hang up. I really need your help today. She looked out the window, her tone indifferent. I have no obligation to help you. He pleaded, Quan, just this once. Help me this once, and I promise I won't bother you again, and I won't mention breaking off the engagement again. I'm only doing this because I'm going abroad. Let's give each other some space, okay? Hearing this, she fell silent. She remembered her mother's words, Quan, as long as you have Zhao, Mom can rest assured. You two must live a good life together. Thinking of this, her heart softened slightly. She asked, what do you want? He said directly, I know you're in trouble because of the rumors last night. Come with me to a banquet tonight. You can use me as a shield. She sneered inwardly. Actually, you want to use me as a shield, right? But she didn't refuse. She simply said, send me the address. Meanwhile, Song Zhaoli sat in the car on his way back, looked at his watch, and asked his driver, Shaylin, there's a banquet tonight, right? Shaylin replied, Rongqing is hosting a banquet tonight. You postponed it earlier. He closed his eyes and murmured, inform them I'll be there at 8 tonight. When the banquet started that evening, Song Zhaoli and Quan happened to meet outside the main hall and walked in together. Foreman Wong, the CEO of Winton Group, was chatting with Zhao. Seeing them, he greeted them enthusiastically. Oh, Zhao Ji also knows President Song. What a coincidence. What a coincidence. Let's drink till we drop tonight. Come on, let's go in together. Zhao, seeing Quan and Song Zhaoli walking together, was puzzled and asked her, Quan, When did you meet Song Zhaoli? Why didn't I know? Quan didn't even look at him. She tossed her hair and said coldly, "What's it to you? Mind your own business." Later, the four of them sat together at the banquet table. President Wang Chung happily arranged for Quan and Song Zhaoli to sit together, specifically instructing her to take good care of him. Quan smiled modestly and said, "President Wang, you flatter me. I'll do my best to make President Song Zhaoli feel at home." Hearing this, the corners of Song Zhaoli's mouth turned up slightly, secretly pleased. Sitting at the banquet table, Quan took the opportunity to grab some food to line her stomach, while Zhao and Wang Chung kept toasting each other, glass after glass. Seeing this, Quan thought to herself, drink up, just keep drinking. It's just as well I can't drink today." She was concentrating on eating when Wang Chung suddenly urged, "Xiao Ji, why aren't you drinking? Come on, everyone has to drink a little tonight." He handed her a bottle of alcohol before Quan could refuse. Song Zhaoli suddenly spoke, "President Wang, are you trying to get me drunk so you could talk contracts?" Wang Chung was taken aback by the question and could only laugh awkwardly. "How could I dare? Wenting is here today with sincere intentions to cooperate." Quan, feeling a little stifled after eating, decided to go out for some fresh air. "I don't think I'm quite suited for this. I'm going to take a walk." With that, she got up and left the table. Quan sighed. The atmosphere at the banquet was so oppressive it was suffocating. She really shouldn't have come today. She took a deep breath, intending to go back and check her phone, replying to a few messages. Just as she opened her phone, ding ding, a new message from her best friend, Wushu, popped up. Quan, what bad things has that jerk Zhao been doing behind her back again?" Quan replied truthfully, "We broke up. It's a long story. I'll tell you another day." She turned off her phone and stood in a corner outside the hall, breathing in the fresh air, trying to calm herself down. Just then, some strange sounds suddenly came from outside. A woman gasping, lighter, followed by a man's delighted laughter. "If you like it gentle, would the old man at home even touch you?" Quan immediately recognized the man's lustful voice. It was Zhao. She sighed helplessly. Even coming out for some air is no escape. She was about to go back inside to avoid the noise. Unexpectedly, she bumped into Song Zhaoli, who was leaning against the wall smoking. Their eyes met, but neither spoke first, the atmosphere becoming tense and subtle. The sound from the room drifted out again, even more absurd. The woman's voice was mixed with moans. The man said triumphantly, "Baby, I just love to hear you scream." The woman panted in reply, didn't you say you broke up with Quan? Why is she here today too?" Song Zhaoli suddenly spoke with a hint of mockery. "President G's taste is quite unique." Quan ignored him, just staring coldly, completely indifferent to the insinuation in his words. Just then, President Wang Cheng's panicked voice came from the private room. "Where is everyone? Where did they all go?" Quan glanced towards the doorway, suddenly realizing that no matter what, Wang Chung and the others couldn't find out. With that thought, she grabbed Song Zhaoli's wrist, the one holding the cigarette, about to say something. At that moment, the manager's voice rang out nearby, instructing the staff, "Quickly find Song Zhaoli. I've arranged the banquet." Hearing this, Quan immediately realized that Zhao had left the private room. Before she could figure out what to do, a large, well-defined hand gripped her chin, and Song Zhaoli pushed her against the wall. He gently stroked her hair, looking deeply into her eyes. After a long moment, Song Zhaoli whispered, "President G, want to play?" Quan didn't flinch, returning his gaze sharply, unflinching. "If I say I don't want to play, will Song Zhaoli let me go?" Song Zhaoli smiled faintly. "What do you think?" At this moment, the sounds of the couple in the room came again. Zhao teased, "It sounds like someone's upstairs. Baby, are you even more excited now?" The woman pushed Zhao away in a panic, scolding, "You're so annoying. Stop it." Zhao continued to tease with a wicked smile. "You say no, but your body is very honest. What if the people upstairs hear you screaming and can't help but come down and join us?" The woman became even angrier, cursing, "Shut up, you're so perverted." Song Zhaoli and Quan heard everything clearly. He teased again, "So President G likes this kind of excitement." Quan glared at him. "Who does?" Song Zhaoli covered his mouth, hiding the smile at the corner of his lips, his tone not serious at all. "What should we do? I don't like being overheard, but if President G likes this kind of excitement. I'm not opposed to cooperating. Quan was so angry that she poked his forehead. President Song, you should drink less alcohol in the future. Drinking too much can damage your central nervous system and cause hallucinations. Even after being rebuked, Song Zhao didn't stop his teasing. From Zhao's words, he realized the woman in the private room was Foreman Wang's wife. He let out a soft "oh." So her boyfriend got promoted through the back door. Quan was speechless. If President Song was so curious, why didn't he look down and see for himself? Quan was about to return to the room to avoid trouble when suddenly footsteps came from the stairs. Song Zhao and Quan both stopped, exchanging a look. They both seemed to understand that escaping this time wouldn't be easy. The useless Song Zhao, realizing he was about to lose a prize, hurriedly explained, Quan, listen to my explanation. It's not what you think. Quan gave him a look of utter disgust and contempt, shaking off his hand. Don't touch me, she said coldly. The woman behind him questioned Song Zhao. What else do you have to explain to her? Didn't you say you didn't love her? Song Zhao didn't care what his lover said, as he was staring in surprise at the unexpected guest. President Song, when did you arrive? Song Zhao leaned casually against the railing behind him and replied, from the beginning. He appeared indifferent, calmly lighting a cigarette. He said nonchalantly to the other man, continue. Why did you stop? The adulterous couple quickly chimed in. President Song, it's a misunderstanding, truly a misunderstanding. But Song Zhao didn't care. He was busy catching up to Quan. He only got out of before she interrupted him. Foreman Wang's wife and Foreman Wang were looking for you just now. I'll be going now. Goodbye. As soon as Quan reached the entrance, she saw Qilin, Song Zhao's assistant, waiting to open the car door for her. Seeing her, he immediately explained, Manager it's very late and it's hard to get a taxi here. President Song asked me to drive you home. Their car started immediately, its headlights illuminating the dark road. Upon arrival, Quan quickly unbuckled her seatbelt, wanting to escape. She was so nervous, she didn't even dare look at him, only whispering, President Song, I've arrived. Just as she was about to open the door and get out, Song Zhao grabbed her hand. He looked at her quizzically. Is Manager just gonna leave like this? Quan turned back and asked, does President Song have anything else? Song Zhao smiled at her. Nothing. You can go. She breathed a sigh of relief and quickly got out of the car. Before leaving, she politely turned back and said, Thank you. Thank you for today, President Song. I'll be going now. Back home, Quan immediately changed into comfortable pajamas and lay on the bed to call her best friend. Her best friend excitedly bombarded her with questions. I saw the photos. What happened? Tell me quickly, who is that man? Is he handsome? She calmly propped her head up with her hand and replied, Song Zhao. A scream immediately came from the other end of the phone, startling her. What? Who did you say? Song Zhao. How is that possible? Quan was momentarily speechless. Her best friend lowered her voice and warned, Song Zhao, stay away from him. Listen to me. You're not from Qingsheng. You don't know. He's a bit sinister. Hearing this, Quan became even more curious. What do you mean? Her best friend began to explain. A few years ago, there was a major kidnapping case in Qingsheng. The kidnappers took all 4 of the Song family heirs. Afterward, the eldest brother went insane, and the 3rd brother became very ill. Quan recalled his cold and handsome face, asking curiously, what about Song Zhao? He's the 4th, right? Her best friend continued, only he was completely fine. Not only was he unharmed, but he also forced his uncle to death and inherited the company. Everyone says he orchestrated the kidnapping himself. Ziguan Vimai Silen. A while later, just as she was drifting off to sleep, a message notification suddenly sounded, and the screen lit up, catching her attention. It was from Wushu. Did she have something to tell her? Quan opened her phone and, out of curiosity, clicked on the video she had just received, thinking, what is this? In the video, a well-dressed man was talking to a male waiter. He handed the waiter a small red and black packet, reminding him to be careful and not make any mistakes. Then the two separated, and the waiter took the opportunity to tear open the small packet the man had just given him and pour the contents into a glass of wine. After watching the video, Quan immediately sat up straight, thinking, this is the video of them drugging me. She looked at the sender and found that their profile was completely blank, without any information. The next morning at the company, the sound of high heels clicking against the floor was crisp and pleasant. But the receptionist's expression wasn't relaxed. Her face clearly showed worry. Quan arrived at the company today in formal attire, accompanied by several police officers. She smiled and greeted her colleagues amicably. Good morning. Her colleagues responded stiffly, and Manager G, good morning. As expected, news travels fast in the company, especially through the grapevine. In the blink of an eye, the company chat groups were exploding. What's going on? Manager G brought the police to work. I saw it too, several officers. Did she call the police? Is it related to those photos? Quan took the police to the planning department. Department head Feng Chung asked innocently, Manager G, what happened? Quan crossed her arms and explained, regarding department head Feng bribing the waiter to drub my drink, I hope everyone will cooperate with the investigation. I apologize for the inconvenience. As soon as she finished speaking, Feng Chung immediately argued back forcefully, I haven't broken a law. Why are you arresting me? The police officers who followed her immediately took action, explaining, we are just carrying out our duties according to the law. Feng Chung kicked and screamed, struggling desperately and yelling, you're ruining my reputation. I'm going to sue the police. The police officers were extremely impatient, pressing him down harder and warned, stop making a fuss. Of course, the gossip mongers in the office couldn't miss this good show, and they all took out their phones to record videos. Quan was secretly pleased as she watched Feng Cheng's disheveled appearance. Suddenly, her assistant appeared. Manager G, someone is looking for you. Seeing no reaction, the assistant patiently repeated, Mr. Lee is looking for you. He seems very angry, like he's very unhappy about you calling the police. Quan finally snapped back to reality and immediately turned around, replying, okay, I'll be right there. As soon as Quan arrived, she saw Mr. Lee with a fawning smile on his face, placating someone on the phone. Yes, you're right. Young people, it's normal to have a bit of a temper. Of course, we fully support her. I even suggested that Xiao Ji call the police. You flatter me. You flatter me. Hearing this, Quan crossed her arms and muttered to herself, he's not angry anymore. No wonder Mr. Lee has the nickname Chameleon. It really lives up to its name. Mr. Lee saw her and gestured for her to wait on the sofa first, then went back to continue his important phone call. Yes, I understand. Understood. After hanging up the phone, he asked curiously, Xiao Ji, do you know President Song? Quan casually replied, we've met a few times. But in her heart, she was wondering, was that call related to Song Zhaoli? He walked to the water dispenser with a smile and said, it's okay if you don't want to talk about it, but regarding Feng Cheng's matter, you shouldn't have suffered that kind of grievance. The company will definitely give you an explanation. She took the water he handed her and smiled. Thank you, Mr. Lee. At this point, Mr. Lee got to the main topic. I called you here to tell you that you will be in charge of the collaborative project with President Wang. Prepare to go on a business trip to Dongsha soon. Ziguan note that? Okay. She took a sip of water, but in her heart, she was thinking, was that call just now from President Wang? Was it related to Song Zhaoli? Or was she overthinking it? The next day, she flew to Dongsha. In the conference room, Quan covered her face and asked the woman next to her in confusion, why is he here too? The woman looked at her in shock. You didn't know? The woman enthusiastically introduced, this is President Song, the main investor in this project. Song Zhaoli, of course, heard her question. Seeing her confused expression, he asked, does Director G have any questions? Quan puffed out her cheeks and replied, no problem. The woman next to her smiled and extended her hand in a friendly manner. Hello, I'm Feng Hui, the person in charge of this project. Quan shook her hand. Hello. Song Zhaoli frowned and glanced at her, then slammed a stack of documents heavily on the table. Feng Hui stood up nervously and asked, President Song, do you have any suggestions? He said coldly, I'm the investor, and you dare to ask me if I have any suggestions. Song Zhaoli stood up, glanced at his watch, and said directly, tomorrow at the same time, I want to see a decent feasibility plan. After saying that, he turned and left, his assistant following closely behind. Feng Hui bowed respectfully. Safe travels, President Song. Feng Hui turned to Quan awkwardly. Director G, can you stay for a few more days? Quan just smiled. It's okay, I get paid for business trips anyway, so I'll stay. By the time the meeting ended, it was already late. In the evening, Quan walked alone down the empty corridor, holding her documents. Just as she was about to swipe her room card, a familiar voice suddenly came from behind her. Do you like me? Quan froze, turning around abruptly. She saw Song Zhaoli on the phone, looking smug, giving her a meaningful look. You like me? Sorry, I'm not interested in women. After hanging up the phone, Song Zhaoli finally turned to Quan and asked, Director G, Are you staying on this floor too? She forced a smile and quickly changed the subject. President's Song, I have something to do, I'll be going now. But her escape speed was no match for Song Zhaoli's. He quickly grabbed her hand. Song Zhaoli repeated what she had said a few days ago. Didn't you say you wanted to treat me to dinner? She thought with exasperation. Why didn't he realize that was just a polite remark? Finally, Quan said somewhat helplessly, there are a lot of people here. I'm afraid it might affect President Song's image. If you don't mind, how about I order takeout? Song Zhaoli immediately agreed. Sure, why not? He deliberately leaned in close, whispering in her ear words that could easily be misunderstood. Your room or mine. Quan's face flushed red. She quickly moved away from him. What would you like to eat? I'll order it to your room. Song Zhaoli grabbed her shoulder. Then he said seriously, Quan, do you think I'd be short of a meal? He adjusted his tie and asked, I'm curious, what's going on between you and Xiao Junji? Quan remained silent. Seeing this, Song Zhaoli thought to himself, does this count as a tacit agreement? He looked down, somewhat disappointed. Quan wanted to leave, so she took the initiative to speak. President Song, is there anything else? If not, I'd like to go back and rest. Song Zhaoli didn't answer, but calmly took out a lighter and lit the cigarette in his mouth. The click of the lighter mixed with his low, seemingly aggrieved voice. You were the one who took the initiative with me, and then you avoided me afterwards. Song Zhaoli took a drag of his cigarette and asked her, if you were me, what would you think? Quan felt guilty and stammered, I'm sorry. He glanced at her and made an unreasonable request. Stay with me for the night, and we'll be even. No one owes anyone anything. Seeing Quan blush and turn to leave, he immediately grabbed her chin and patiently repeated himself. A while later, in Quan's room, she was lying on a bed, staring at the ceiling, tossing and turning, thinking, what should I do? Should she agree to him? Suddenly, her phone chimed with a new message notification. She opened her phone and saw that it was full of messages of concern. Quan, how's your business trip going? Remember to eat well while you're away. Go to restaurants more often and don't always eat fast food. Quan immediately turned off her phone after reading them and fell in a deep thought. If I want to earn money to pay off my debts, I absolutely can't. Not offend Song Zhaoli any further. Thinking of this, she got out of bed, put on her slippers and bathrobe, and walked to Song Zhaoli's door, comforting herself. It's okay at this point, but it's just one night. Although she said so, her clenched hands betrayed her nervousness. Quan mustered her courage and rang Song Zhaoli's doorbell. Ding dong. The door quickly opened a crack, and Song Zhaoli appeared, looking like he had just showered, with a towel on his head and his bathrobe loosely tied. He calmly asked her, have you made up your mind? Quan was too nervous to speak. Song Zhaoli waited for her answer with a smile. Finally, Quan mustered all her courage and replied, I've made up my mind. It's not like I have anything to lose anyway. Waiting for her reply, Song Zhaoli immediately reached out to untie his bathrobe, gently calling her name, Quan. Quan's bathrobe slipped off, and Song Zhaoli pulled her into his arms, resting his chin on her shoulder, whispering, I thought you would refuse me. Quan blushed and softly called his name, Song Zhaoli. He responded softly, indicating that he had heard her. Song Zhaoli quickly cupped Quan's chin and pulled her face closer to his. They kissed passionately, their breaths mingling, making one's heart race. MMM. He looked at her flushed face and teased, that's all it takes. Song Zhaoli gently wiped the trace from the corner of her lips and teased with a smile. Then what are we going to do later? This time, her bathrobe was completely discarded on the floor. Quan, using her last shred of reason, reminded him, just this once, okay? Song Zhaoli whispered in her ear, going back on his word, I didn't say just once. I said, as long as you stay with me for one night, we'll be even. In the luxurious and imposing hotel in the city center. Although it was late at night, the lights of hundreds of rooms were still bright, like stars in the night sky, creating a mysterious and warm atmosphere. Song Zhaoli's luxurious suite was one of them. The soft light filtering from under the door crack seemed both peaceful and tinged with temptation and unsolved secrets. The atmosphere inside the room was thick and almost hazy. The golden light spilled onto the clean white sheets, creating a romantic and alluring space, as if opening up a world just for the two of them. Quan's cheeks were flushed, her eyes clear yet hesitant as she looked at him, each word broken and breathless. Song, you. They intertwined, passionate and infatuated, as if lost in the fog of love, tossing and turning on the bed, their desire surging like a tide. After their passionate encounter, Both were exhausted, drenched in sweat, their rapid breaths intertwining in the heated atmosphere. Each heartbeat pulsed with heightened emotion. Song Jiali gazed at her with deep, captivating eyes, filled with both desire and a hint of amusement. He whispered, "Want more?" His bold, direct question deepened the blush on Quan's cheeks, making them flush like ripe peaches. She bit her lip, her gaze darting away, hesitant to speak, yet unable to hide the turbulent emotions within. Seeing her shy demeanor, he found it even more amusing, raising an eyebrow and teasing, "Your silence means no, or are you already addicted but too embarrassed to admit it?" His words were like adding fuel to the fire, increasing her fluster. Quan couldn't hold back any longer, blurting out, "Song Jiali, you bastard." Her voice was laced with anger and shyness, yet it couldn't mask a hint of playful affection. Her outburst was met with his delighted laughter. He savored every expression on her face, enjoying her adorable agitation. Song Jiali pulled her close without hesitation, his arms tightly encircling her waist, clearly feeling the soft curves of her body. She gasped, a mix of emotions swirling within her. He leaned in, his hot breath brushing against her ear, whispering gently, "If you're uncomfortable, you must tell me." Once again, they couldn't resist their mutual attraction, continuing to indulge in the passionate whirlwind. Every movement of their bodies was perfectly synchronized, as if unwilling to separate for even a moment. The pleasure of that moment felt eternal. The room filled with sweetness, gasps, and burning passion. After their climax, exhaustion finally claimed Quan, and she fell into a deep sleep in his arms, breathing evenly, oblivious to the world. Meanwhile, Song Jiali picked up his phone and received a new voice message. As he pressed play, the cheerful voice of his best friend, Liao Yuebai, rang out clearly. "Hey, Lao Song, I finally remembered. Quan is that college student you sponsored 5 years ago, right? Haha, you really do have a thing for nurturing young love." Hearing this, the corners of Song Jiali's lips curled upwards, his gaze resting on Quan's sleeping face. She lay there peacefully, as adorable and serene as a little angel, trusting him without reservation. Recalling Liao Yuebai's teasing, a faint smile played on his lips, both tender in content. Not wanting Quan to know about his past, he quickly sent Liao Yuebai a text message. "You have to keep this a secret." Liao Yuebai immediately replied, "Don't worry, my lips are sealed." But Lao Song, don't expect a happy ending with a secret affair. Seeing no response from Song Jiali, Liao Yuebai sent another message. "Hey, Lao Song, are you still there?" The next morning, soft sunlight streamed into the room. Quan woke up and turned over, only to find the space beside her empty. The cold room held no trace of Song Jiali, leaving only an intangible emptiness. Confused, she pulled the covers around herself, her eyes scanning the room. She muttered softly, her face full of bewilderment, "Where are my clothes?" Spotting Song Jiali's shirt on the floor, she bent down and picked it up. Without thinking, she slipped it on. The shirt still carried his scent, causing a slight warmth to spread through her heart. She walked out of the bedroom, completely unaware of what awaited her outside. As soon as the door opened, her gaze collided with countless pairs of eyes, as if she had suddenly stumbled into another world. In the living room of the presidential suite, Song Jiali was in a meeting with his subordinates. Everyone froze, witnessing a woman emerge from Song Jiali's bedroom. Song Jiali's gaze also fell upon her. Seeing this scene, Quan froze on the spot, feeling her carefully constructed image crumble in an instant. Only one thought remained in her mind. "I'm finished. This time, I'm really dead." Taking a deep breath to compose herself, she quickly slammed the door shut, trying to avoid everyone's curious stares. The atmosphere in the meeting room became awkward. Song Jiali struggled to maintain his composure, resuming his usual stern demeanor, and instructed in a low voice, "Finalize the new proposal within a week." A subordinate immediately replied, "Yes, President Song. Rest assured, we will complete it on time." As Song Jiali rose, everyone stood up, understanding the unspoken message. Someone said, "President Song, Don't worry, we won't breathe a word. Quan returned to the bedroom, leaning against the wall and sighing repeatedly, filled with regret, thinking, bad deeds never bring good luck. Unable to contain her worry, she covered her mouth with her hand. In the meeting room, just now, she had recognized several people, all of whom were senior executives from Rongqing. Just as she was at a loss, her phone vibrated in her hand. She received a short, decisive message from Song Zhaoli. I'll handle what happened. It's just a minor incident. The scene shifted to Quan's company. After the meeting, Feng Hui held some documents, seemingly wanting to probe Quan. What's your relationship with Song Zhaoli? He hasn't been to any meetings these past few days, you know? Quan forced a smile, calmly denying any connection. Director Feng, President Song, and I aren't really close. Feng Hui pressed, suspiciously, oh really? Quan felt certain that what happened in Song Zhaoli's room had spread. Feigning composure, she said, I know you've heard some things, Director Feng. There was a slight incident, but it was just an accident. I have something to attend to. Please excuse me. With that, she hurried off. Feng Hui watched her go, a look of displeasure on her face. She sneered at Quan, thinking, humph, acting all high and mighty. If it weren't for Song Zhaoli protecting you, you wouldn't be where you are now. Waiting for the elevator, Quan quickly pulled out her phone and messaged her best friend. Hey, was that Feng Hui? Your neighbor. Her friend replied in under 5 seconds. Yeah, don't be fooled by her appearance. She acts like she's a good person, but she's really not. Quan agreed. Exactly, I just experienced that firsthand. Her friend sent a crying face emoji. She screwed me over at least 10 times. Oh, and by the way, I think she's chasing after Song Zhaoli. Quan, engrossed in texting, was completely oblivious to Song Zhaoli's arrival. He walked up behind her, expressionless, and stepped into the elevator. He didn't say a word. She followed him in. Silence hung heavy in the elevator. She was determined to ignore him completely. After a moment, he cleared his throat and spoke. Ahem, about the other day. She immediately plastered on a professional smile and interrupted him. Hello, President Song. He'd been about to say more, but seeing her evasive expression, he fell silent, finally just uttering, Her heart pounded nervously. She kept glancing at him, wondering if he'd given up on her. Seeing her fidgeting, he chuckled softly and stepped closer, startling her. She looked at him warily. He simply offered a gentle reminder. Tomorrow night is the celebration banquet. Take care of yourself. His sudden words completely flustered her. Her palms started to sweat, and her face was a mask of confusion. As if reading her mind, he leaned in and whispered, just try not to repeat what happened last time. Ding! The elevator doors opened. Before leaving, he murmured in her ear, otherwise, things will get messy again. He left with a smile playing on his lips, leaving her standing there, her face burning. The next day, the celebration banquet took place as scheduled. Thanks to Song Zhaoli's warning, Quan was extra cautious. Feng Hui, upon hearing that Song Zhaoli wouldn't be attending, was visibly disappointed. What? Song Zhaoli isn't coming. She had a few drinks, and her cheeks were flushed. Quan asked politely, which floor are you going to? Feng Hui scoffed, her eyes fixed on Quan. Playing with her phone, she said impatiently, did you know President Song has a fiancée? Men like him have plenty of women around. You'd better know your place. Quan wasn't about to back down. She retorted coldly, you should know your own place. You don't need to remind me. Feng Hui was practically speechless with anger. What do you mean by that? Quan didn't hold back. Director Feng, don't treat me like your imaginary rival. I have absolutely no interest in Song Zhaoli. A bit drunk, Feng Hui shouted without restraint, no interest. Then why were you in his bed? At that very moment, Song Zhaoli and Liao Yuebai happened to walk by, hearing everything. Quan thought Feng Hui had gone too far. With a cold laugh, she retorted, oh, I was just playing around with him. She was about to leave when she bumped into Song Zhaoli. Seeing him standing there, she froze, unsure what to say. Liao Yuebai seized the opportunity to tease Song Zhaoli. Haha, old Song, did you hear that? She said she was just playing around with you. Quan's face was a mixture of shock and worry. She could only stare at him. Song Zhaoli's eyes were unreadable. He suddenly asked, did you have fun? Do you want to keep playing? His teasing words made her blush. She lowered her head and hurried past him without a word. After escaping, She hid in a corner and sighed. This is what happens when you're caught bad-mouthing someone. I'm so screwed. Back in her room after showering, Quan rushed to the balcony and messaged him. President Song, I want to explain about what happened in the hallway. I really didn't mean to speak ill of you. I'm sorry, I hope you don't mind. She anxiously sent 2 messages, but received no reply. Completely deflated, she collapsed onto the sofa with a sigh. This is so unlucky. I'm done for. The scene then shifted to a bustling street. Song Zhao was driving, his expression irritated as he fiddled with his lighter. Liao Yuebai, seeing his phone bombarded with messages, grinned. You should just reply, Song Zhao. Song Zhao retorted coldly. What's it to you? Liao Yuebai, having never seen him so irritated, just chuckled. Let me just say, being the other woman never ends well. Song Zhao rolled his eyes, completely disagreeing. Do you think she's the type to let her boyfriend cheat? Liao Yuebai thought for a moment, then shook his head. Impossible. I heard something 6 months ago. Some CEO wanted Quan as his mistress, and she slapped him. Staring intently ahead, he couldn't help but ask, a girl that poor wouldn't sell herself for money. Do you think she'd let her boyfriend mess around? Resting his chin on his hand, he pondered, what's the deal with her and Xiao Jin? Is it a business partnership? What could Xiao Jin possibly offer her? Seeing him lost in thought, Liao Yuebai quickly changed the subject. Does Quan know it was you who helped her back then? Song Zhao didn't answer, only asking back, what do you think? Looking at Quan, Liao Yuebai figured she was probably still in the dark. If she knew, she definitely wouldn't treat you like that. Song Zhao just smiled, saying nothing, seemingly agreeing with Liao Yuebai's words. The next day, Quan took care of everything. She boarded the plane back to headquarters. The contract negotiations went smoothly, and thankfully, Feng Hui wasn't in the mood to bother her. HR said Feng Hui seemed to have been demoted. Quan took out her phone, wanted to see if he had replied, but there were still only the 2 messages she had sent. She sighed, feeling a little disappointed. Song Zhao still hadn't replied. While feeling down, she heard her best friend call out from afar, Quan, over here. Her best friend was dressed all in black. Quan teased, are you here to pick me up or send me to a funeral? Her best friend twirled around, saying cheerfully, just threw something on. Come on, don't be late. Grabbing Quan's arm, she asked seriously, tell me, did you run into Song Zhao in Dongsheng? Quan deliberately changed the subject, replying perfunctorily, he's just the client's big shot. Her best friend raised an eyebrow. Come on, I don't believe that. Tell me the truth. Quan's face flushed, her eyes darting around. Her best friend knew immediately something was up. Did you too, you know? Quan blushed even more, remaining silent. Her best friend became anxious. How many times have I told you? You never learn. Aren't you afraid he'll dump you after he's done with you? Seeing her best friend wouldn't let it go, Quan finally surrendered. Stop, let me explain. She told her best friend everything. I ran into Song Zhao at the reception. My colleague drugged me, so I kind of slept with Song Zhao. Later on the business trip, Song Zhao said I had to compensate him, said it was only fair, so She stopped mid-sentence. Her best friend was furious, fiercely defending Quan. You were drugged, you're the victim. Your boss is too much. Quan could only comfort her with a smile. It's okay, it's over. But her best friend still looked suspicious. Song Zhao just let you go that easily. Quan, tired of her speculations, fastened her seatbelt. Quan turned her head, saying softly, it's complicated. Her best friend thought for a moment, then blurted out, do you think he likes you? Quan didn't believe it at all. That's ridiculous. Just then, Quan's phone rang. Seeing it was her mother, she quickly got out of the car to answer. Mom, what's wrong? Her mother got straight to the point. Quan, why aren't you home yet? Xiao Jin and his mother are here. Weren't you supposed to meet today? Quan's face stiffened. She could only say, Mom, I'll be home in an hour. Can you entertain them for me, please? Okay, I'll handle it. Her mother hung up quickly. After parking, her best friend got out of the car and couldn't help but ask, I heard Xiao Jin is having an affair with President Wang's wife. Is it true, Quan? Ziguan Lup, no. Lunch is off. I have to rush back to Yinshan. Her best friend was confused. Quan was irritated. Xiao Jin brought his mother to my house to force me into marriage. Her best friend cursed angrily. Damn, how shameless. That scumbag dares to come back and bother you. Quan quickly took out her phone, dialing as she spoke. Listen, Xiao Jin, if your mother causes any trouble later, it's your own fault. An hour later, Quan arrived in Yinqing. She went upstairs to her apartment door and was about to enter the password when she heard someone talking inside. It was Xiao Jin's mother, her tone smug. Let me tell you, it's Chuan's good fortune to marry our Xiao Jin. They used to say ancestral graves emit smoke. Xiao Jin is highly educated. Quan stood at the door, feeling extremely irritated. Then her phone rang again. She took her phone out of her bag and saw it was Song Zhao calling. Lowering her voice, she answered, "Hello, President Song? You're looking for me." He stood in the skyscraper, overlooking the city through the glass, his voice slightly hoarse. "I heard you're getting married." High above, Song Zhao looked down at the million-dollar view beneath him. His tone softened. Project Director Quan on the other end of the line seemed to be lost in thought, only snapping back to attention when he addressed her. Just as she was about to speak, he hung up. Confused, she thought, did he misdial? Why did he hang up so suddenly? Just then, the door in front of her suddenly opened. It was Xiao Jin, smiling as he greeted her. Quan, you're back." Quan, I heard some noise outside and guessed it was you." He reached out to take her hand, but Quan quickly dodged, deliberately avoiding his touch. He looked at her blankly and called out Quan. At this moment, her mother, Jianya, came out to ease the tension. "Whatever it is, let's talk inside." Seeing her mother, Quan immediately pushed Xiao Jin aside, simply acknowledging her with a sound before entering the house. As soon as she stepped inside, her mother started questioning her. Quan, we've been waiting for you for a long time. Why are you only back now?" She replied indifferently. Something came up at the company. The woman sitting inside sneered disdainfully. Something came up at the company. Quan glanced at the woman, but remained silent. The woman immediately stood up and started nagging. "You're just a small department head. How busy can you be? Can you be busier than our Xiao Jin, the vice president? This wasn't a last-minute decision. Didn't you know today was a prearranged date? It was clearly decided long ago, and you still dare to be late." Seeing his mother like this, Xiao Jin quickly stepped in to smooth things over. "Mom, say less. Quan has been on business trips recently and just got back today." But she didn't care at all and instead said loudly, "You have no backbone at all." Quan slowly put down her bag, letting the two of them perform, while her mother silently watched the farce. The woman then turned to her mother and sneered. "She dares to treat you like this before even getting married. After getting married, won't she just walk all over you?" Hearing this, Quan finally spoke. "Annie, don't worry." She picked up a glass of water and walked over, continuing, "I won't walk all over Xiao Jin." The woman wouldn't let it go, sarcastically saying, "Easy to say. You even dared to push Xiao Jin in front of us. Who knows what you do behind our backs?" Quan directly interrupted her, "Because we're not getting married at all." The entire room fell silent instantly, everyone looking at her. The woman turned to Xiao Jin in anger and asked, "What did she say?" Xiao Jin was also taken aback by her words and said, Quan, I know you're still angry with me, but the invitations have already been sent out. If we don't have the wedding now, where will Annie put her face?" Suddenly, a glass of water was splashed directly onto his face. Both Xiao Jin and his mother were stunned, as if they had been suddenly awakened. Her mother was also surprised. It turned out she had asked for the water for this very purpose. Quan snorted coldly, her face dark, her aura fully unleashed. She gripped the glass tightly in her hand. All right, stop it. It's my turn to speak." She began. "Xiao Jin seems to have forgotten that we broke up a month ago because I caught him cheating." After she finished speaking, Xiao Jin retorted angrily, Quan, you say I cheated. Then do you dare to tell Annie where you were on the night of the 17th? Quan looked at the man in front of her and couldn't help but laugh. She turned around. "Xiao Jin, did you hear me clearly? We broke up last month. Where I was on the night of the 17th has nothing to do with you." Neither of them yielded. Quan continued, "Since you're so curious, I'll tell you. I have a new boyfriend, and I was with him that night. That's it." Meanwhile, at the company, someone was drowning in jealousy. In Song Zhao's office, Liao Yuebai sat in a chair, fidgeting. "Old Song, let me ask you, Quan isn't your type at all. Why are you still pestering her?" As Liao Yuebai questioned him, Song Zhao smoked, his gaze deep, as if carrying some burden. "Did you have feelings for her when you were supporting her before?" "No." Liao Yuebai's curiosity grew stronger, and he pressed on. "Then when did it start?" Song Zhao flicked the ash from his cigarette cigarette. It didn't. Liao Yuebai was filled with questions. Song Zhao explained calmly. That night was an accident. Someone drugged her. Curiosity is instinct. Gossip is nature. Liao Yuebai persisted. What about the second night? Song Zhao's face darkened. Do you want a beating? Liao Yuebai knew he was pushing it, but he couldn't help himself. Lao Song, I won't ask much. Just answer me one question. Why did you help Quan in the first place? 5 years ago, you guys were barely holding on, struggling to stay afloat yourselves, yet you risked everything to support her. Even your dad scolded you more than once for it. The more Liao Yuebai spoke, the more suspicious he became. Song Zhao finally spoke. Do you remember where we were kidnapped that year? How could I forget? Liao Yuebai replied without hesitation. Inching. What about it? Oh, I'm the Quan she knew back then. Curiosity and excitement shone in Liao Yuebai's eyes, but Song Zhao simply said, nothing special, just a bit of fate. I was rescued, and it just so happened that Quan's family went bankrupt. Jianya ran off with the money, leaving the mother and daughter with an empty shell of a company. His voice dropped. My brother had just died then. He pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Song Zhao looked down at the pack in his hand, his eyes dimming. Actually, I wanted to die back then too. He lit a lighter, a hint of reminiscence in his voice. That day, I was wandering around the city like a nobody. Suddenly, I heard men and women arguing loudly up ahead. Something like, if you want to die, then go die. Who cares about you? He froze, wondering what was going on. 2 people were arguing up ahead. It turned out to be Quan persuading a man not to do something foolish. Trust me, give me a few years, and I'll definitely pay back the money my dad owes you. But the man didn't believe her at all. You're just a student. How can you pay it back? Song Zhao walked over. Don't worry. He realized the man was about to jump, and his heart skipped a beat. Was this guy really going to kill himself? His throat dry, he offered a word of Janwei, surprising himself. He turned away, thinking, why am I advising others? I want to jump too. But if I die, everything is over. But just then, Song Zhao's eyes suddenly lit up, as if he had discovered something interesting. He couldn't help but glance back at Quan, her long hair fluttering in the wind, her face full of exhaustion, yet radiating a strong vitality. He murmured, that day, when I saw Quan, I suddenly felt alive again. I'll never forget how she looked that day. I ran into her a few more times after that. I saw Quan handing out flyers in the rain. That girl is really tenacious, strong like a little flower on a cliff. Sometimes I drive my sport car past her and just watch silently. We kept running into each other, but I never said a word. I felt like a loser and didn't want to drag her down with me. But seeing her so strong, I really admired her. She's the one who pulled me out of the mud. I originally wanted to drag her down with me, but seeing her working so hard, I couldn't bring myself to do it. Snapping back to the present, he stared quietly at the flame of his lighter. Liao Yuebai coughed awkwardly. Ahem. So what are you going to do now? Song Zhao snapped his lighter shut, shaking off his thoughts, and turned around. I'm not planning on doing anything with her. He sounded innocent. Song Zhao gave a cynical laugh. You think I'd be the other man? Liao Yuebai thought for a moment, then hesitantly asked, aren't you already? You slept with her, right? Once wasn't enough. You want more. Song Zhao slowly pulled out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. He looked up at the sky, a lonely expression on his face, but lied, just playing around. Meanwhile, at Quan's house, steaming hot dumplings were neatly arranged in bowls. You need to eat your fill to have the strength to fight. Looking at the dumplings on the table, she praised with anticipation. They smell so good. Quan's mother set down the dishes while scolding. You should have told me about breaking up with Xiao Jin earlier. Her mother's face was full of displeasure as she continued, frowning. His parents actually said Xiao Jin cheated because you weren't charming enough. I'm so angry. She grew even angrier as she spoke. How could they say such a thing? Quan just smiled without answering, quietly enjoying the meal her mother had made. Her mother couldn't help but complain a few more times, venting her anger. He cheated and still dared to come to our house. Shameless. Quan comforted her. Don't be angry. Just ignore them from now on. Her mother suddenly stopped, carefully observing her expression, and finally decided to change the subject. It still revolved around the original issue, but from her perspective, it was a good thing. You told him you have a new boyfriend. Is that true? Quan replied, her mouth still full of dumplings. Really? Her mother pressed again, full of suspicion. Really? Quan answered with a blank expression, lowering her head to avoid her mother's gaze. In reality, it was a lie, told only to avoid worrying her mother. Hearing her mother excitedly ask how he was and if he was a good person, Quan launched into a masterful performance of lies, giving vague answers. Making up a fictional boyfriend was harder than she thought. What does he do? Her mother asked. The same as me, she blurted out. What followed was a barrage of questions every mother asks when their daughter has a boyfriend, the standard interrogation for a potential son-in-law. So Quan could only manage hurried replies. Yes, yes. Her mother's rapid-fire questions left her flustered and wanting to hide. She plastered a smile on her face, while inside, she was sweating nervously. Mom, I'm sorry, the boyfriend thing was a lie. Xiao Jin doesn't exist. Her mother looked at her with joy, seemingly eager for this to be true. Suddenly, her mother asked a shocking question. Were you free to bring your boyfriend home to meet me? Then, she started making plans. How about next weekend? Next weekend is a good day. She even reached out and patted her precious daughter's head. Quan was completely dumbfounded, a storm raging inside her. Pretending to have a boyfriend. Now mom believes it. What should I do? Help! Urgent! The next day, before Quan left, her mother reminded her, remember to bring your boyfriend home next weekend. She replied guiltily, definitely next time. Quan quickly slipped away, diving into her car and waving goodbye enthusiastically. After she left, her mother dejectedly answered the phone. The voice on the other end asked, Zhao Ling, have you decided yet? It's been a week. Finally making up her mind, her mother replied with a sigh of relief, Dr. Zhao, I've thought about it. I won't have the surgery. I can't be a burden to my children. The scene shifts to Quan's home in Yanqing. Night has fallen, and she's confiding in her best friend. My mom wants me to bring my boyfriend home next weekend. I told her he works at Song Corporation. Wushu leaned in with a gossipy look. No way, haha. You have to find a boyfriend for your mom before next weekend. Quan looked dejected. Ugh. Suddenly, Wushu's eyes lit up. She winked mischievously at Quan and said with a smirk, the only person you know at Song Corporation is Song Zhaoli. You'll have to drag that Playboy Song Zhaoli into this. Seeing Wushu's sly expression, Quan quickly explained, that was an emergency. I wasn't thinking straight. Wushu's mind raced. Oh, right. My cousin works at Song Corporation, and he's single. Maybe he could pretend to be your boyfriend. Perfect. Another option. Meanwhile, Quan was scrolling through the day's trending topics. Suddenly, the top story was about Song Zhaoli. Song Corporation CEO spotted on late-night date with two beauties. Seen partying with two beautiful women at a high-end bar. The energetic CEO, Song stayed with them until 10 a.m. before leaving the hotel. Quan stared blankly at the news, feeling a little nauseous. The comment section was full of remarks like, CEO Song has great stamina, 1 versus 2, and various sycophantic pronouncements. Handsome, rich CEO and beautiful women. Can't tell who's winning or losing. But there were also snarky comments. Doesn't CEO Song have a fiancé? How must she be feeling right now? Wushu stroked her chin and teased, seriously. The men you get entangled with are all useless womanizers. Quan didn't care if he was a womanizer. She just wanted to confirm if Song Zhaoli's scandal was true. Wushu replied nonchalantly, yeah, one of the models I photographed today was the one who spent the night with Song Zhaoli. The makeup artist said she was covered in hickeys. Quan felt a wave of disgust and pretended to casually continue scrolling on her phone, but she didn't care about that scumbag's private life. Instead, she happily went into the kitchen to prepare dinner. Chop, the fish head separated from a body. Wushu applauded from behind, her eyes wide and mouth agape, praising her excellent cooking skills. Quan expertly tossed the wok like a 5-star chef. A variety of colorful and fragrant dishes were soon on the table, as if dining in a high-end restaurant. Wushu's mouth watered. She quickly picked up a piece of meat and devoured it, her taste buds exploding and her eyes lighting up. Wusue, Gleam, Quan, amazing. I'm falling in love with you. Quan, still plating the food, retorted without hesitation, no thanks, I like men. Suddenly, the phone on the table vibrated wildly. Quan, still busy in the kitchen, shouted, hey, whose phone is that? I am Busa. Hearing this, Wushu offered, I'll get it. I'll answer it for you. With her friend's permission, Wushu confidently answered the phone, saying cautiously, Xiao Jin, speak quickly if you have something to say. Xiao Jin replied anxiously, Wushu, I need to talk to Quan urgently. I'm at the Shunwei Hotel. Wang Chung from your company is blocking me. It's all because of Song Zhaoli scandal. Now reporters are after me too. Wu Shu was stunned by the sudden influx of information. Her initial shock gave way to a burst of unrestrained laughter. Then, through gritted teeth, she cursed and hung up. Served him right. Quan, busy with her work, was interrupted by Wu Shu's boisterous laughter. What's up? What's so funny? She asked. Still giddy, Wu Shu recounted the events. Xiao Jin got caught by Mr. Wang at the hotel, red-handed in bed, and then he called you for help. As if to prove her point, a text message arrived. It wasn't hard to guess the content. Quan, you're not going to help me this time, are you? Just you wait. Wu Shu stared at the message, speechless. Oh my god, he's actually sending threatening texts. She turned to Quan. Quan, didn't you say Song Zhaoli, despite all the rumors, has never been caught? This time he was actually photographed by reporters, and he was at the same hotel as Xiao Jin. Do you think he did it on purpose? Quan fell silent, staring at her phone for a long time. Meanwhile, at the Song family residence, Song Zhaoli, looking severely injured, stumbled inside, clutching his shoulder. His assistant, Lin, was waiting for him. He smeared some blood on his dust-covered face, appearing as if he had just emerged from a vicious fight, utterly disheveled. Pain caused him to cough violently. He waved away the coat Lin offered, asking only, "Is Quan back?" Lin replied, "Yes. Director G is at her apartment now." Song Zhaoli fumbled for a cigarette as he listened. Good. Lin continued his report. I sent the message you asked me to send. Director G even added me as a friend. He paused, surprised. Added you? Yes, Director G really added me. He handed over his phone. The messages were short. Lin's, do you know Xiao Jin and Mrs. Wang met at the Shunwei Hotel tonight? And Quan's reply, did you send a message last night? Confusion was written all over Lin's face as he waited for an explanation. After a long silence, Song Zhaoli said, somewhat displeased, give me your WeChat ID. Register a new one. Lin, a tech-minded individual, hadn't caught up yet. Huh? He asked blankly. Despite this, the luxury car sped down the road. Lin glanced nervously at Song Zhaoli's exhausted face in the rearview mirror. Mr. Song, should I get you some medicine? He asked with concern. No, he refused. No one knew what Song Zhaoli was thinking. He just kept fiddling with his phone, looking bored and restless. Suddenly, he spoke. Get me some medicine after all. In reality, he was scheming. He was preparing to play the victim. Lin immediately agreed. Okay. Song Zhaoli quickly picked up his phone and sent a message. What are you doing? After waiting a while without a response, he tried a different tactic. Quan, I'm injured, he wrote, his tone like a little kitten waiting to be comforted. But his message was met with silence. Frustrated, Song Zhaoli slumped back in his seat, fuming. He had to try a different approach. Is the retirement home proposal ready? He typed. This time, a reply came quickly. Sent to your email. So, she was just selectively ignoring him. He stared at his phone, a cold smile playing on his lips. Fi, Quan. As he thought this, his phone vibrated again. Quan had promptly sent the attachment. Song Zhaoli almost burst out laughing. Propping his chin on his hand, he gritted his teeth, slightly annoyed. You want to talk business, right? Fine, let's talk business. He sent another message. There's a small problem with the proposal. Quan set down her water glass and quickly replied, if it's convenient, could you give me the project manager's contact information? I'll communicate the revisions directly. Completely oblivious to what was about to happen, she leisurely sipped her freshly brewed coffee. Suddenly, another message popped up on the project manager. I'll be at your place in half an hour. Quan choked on her coffee. Her face turned pale. She sighed dramatically. The coffee isn't bitter, life is. Sure enough, half an hour later, a luxury car pulled up in front of her apartment building. Quan, already prepared, hurried downstairs to greet her guest. She had even changed clothes and put on light makeup, specifically to meet the client. Holding the documents, she asked cheerfully, Assistant Xiao, is Mr. Song in the car? Lin pointed inside. He is. She nodded. Thank you. Suddenly, she froze, panic rising on her face. She covered her mouth. Ugh, there's a strong metallic smell. Song Zhaoli leaned his head to the side, looking nonchalant, his shirt casually unbuttoned, revealing his toned abs. It was then that she realized what the metallic smell was. Blood. He smirked. Director G, he suggested earnestly, why don't you help me take care of my wound first, and then we can look at the proposal. Quan narrowed her eyes, full of suspicion, holding the first aid kit he offered, hesitant to move. Seeing her hesitation, Song Zhao quickly waved his hands in explanation. I'm really injured. I'm not trying to take advantage of you. He pulled down his shirt, revealing bloody gashes across his back. Quan was genuinely shocked. Seeing his disheveled appearance, Quan finally believed him and asked in shock, were you attacked? Seeing her still tense, Song Zhao propped his chin on his hand and said softly, Director G, can you relax your guard around me now? Quan suddenly turned around and refused awkwardly. President Song, men and women are different. If you really need it, I can take you to the hospital to treat your wounds. He stared at her and retorted, do you think someone of my status should appear in hospital like this? Quan stood there, sweating profusely, and remained silent because what he said made sense. Song Zhao continued to coax her with sweet words. Director G, as the saying goes, a drop of water should be repaid with a fountain. He moved closer to her. As he spoke, is this how you treat your benefactor? She broke out in a cold sweat, her face full of confusion. Benefactor? What benefactor? Song Zhao took out his phone and proudly showed her a video, continuing, the video of your colleague drugging you, and today your boyfriend being caught red-handed with President Wang. Before he could finish, Quan interrupted him with a hint of helplessness. Take off your shirt and turn around. She still felt embarrassed to look directly at him. Song Zhao tilted his head, looking at her indulgently, and teased, you trust me so much that you don't even ask. Quan calmly prepared the medicine and replied indifferently, no need. A cunning glint flashed in his eyes. This injury can't be treated in the car, and my car is parked right in front of your house. As soon as he finished speaking, he started to touch her, his actions ambiguous. If you and I are both in the car, and Chiolin is outside, what if someone sees us? Hearing this, Quan stopped. She was well aware of the unspoken rules of high society. Somewhat, Song Zhao took the opportunity to gently caress her palm, stroking it back and forth a few times. How about we go to your place? He naturally interlaced his fingers with hers, holding her soft hand. Quan didn't resist, but suddenly burst out laughing, louder and louder, startling Song Zhao, who couldn't understand her reaction at all. Quan remained calm and collected, tilting her head slightly, smiling professionally, and getting straight to the point. President Song, what do you want? Song Zhao feigned ignorance. Want? Want what? She stared at him with alluring eyes and asked bluntly, well, let me put it another way. President Song, are you interested in me? Do you want to sleep with me? Song Zhao didn't deny it, but just smirked. What if I say yes? She asked again, President Song, you're not short of women, are you? He immediately admitted frankly, indeed. Quan's tone became serious. President Song, I'm not someone you can play around with. Aren't you afraid I'll cling to you? Song Zhao leaned against the car door and retorted nonchalantly, you can try. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became tense. She lowered her head, seemingly ready to break all the rules. She suddenly looked up at him and suggested, President Song, do you want to get married? Song Zhao was stunned, his face flushed, his heart pounding. Even he hadn't expected this to happen. He stammered, WH what? Quan's eyes sparkled as she began to complain. You know my situation. I'm very poor now, and I've only had one boyfriend, and he cheated on me. I don't have the energy to play games, and I don't want to be ambiguous with anyone. Song Zhao stared blankly, blinking. So you want to marry me? She nodded, arms crossed, and said seriously, yes, I just want to find someone to marry. I don't want to waste any more time. She continued dejectedly, I've only had one boyfriend. Xiao Jin was the only one, but we broke up. He betrayed me. I'm very sad, really heartbroken, and I don't want to invest in another relationship. I just want to find someone to marry. I really need money. She added, I wasn't planning on looking for you, but Song Zhao suddenly felt a chill in his heart. How could she just pick someone to marry to heal her wounds? Worse, did she see him as a backup plan? He lowered his head and muttered dejectedly, I don't want to be a backup plan. Quan smirked inwardly. Sure enough, he was going to refuse. It was time to retreat, so she immediately changed the subject, handing him the proposal. President Song, would you like to take a look at this proposal? Song Zhao took the proposal, but his eyes were full of worry. He blurted out, you still can't let go of your ex. She frowned and retorted, Mr. Song, that's my private business. He just sneered, suddenly losing interest in her. The atmosphere in the car became heavy and oppressive. He looked impatient and simply said, I understand. After that, the two began to talk business, and the meeting went smoothly. Come to Song Corporation to sign the contract tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Song. He coldly told her to get out of the car, dismissing her once their business was concluded. Quan didn't linger, jumping out of the car and waving goodbye with a smile. Goodbye, President Song. Drive safely. Song Zhao just stared out the window in a daze, watching her leave, a sense of loss washing over him. He called out, Xiaolin, let's go. Xiaolin replied respectfully, yes, President Song. The supercar shot onto the main road like a rocket. The sky had begun to darken. Song Zhao asked thoughtfully, Xiaolin, have you ever been in love? Under the lights of the skyscrapers, he drove and slowly replied, yes. Song Zhao curiously pressed, then why did you break up? Xiaolin confessed, her family thought I was poor, with no future, so they made her dump me. Hearing this, he asked, first love? Xiaolin nodded slightly. First love, huh? Song Zhao frowned and rubbed his forehead. First love is the most unforgettable, right? Xiaolin said with feigned emotion, usually yes. It's the purest emotion, the first spark of love. Before he could finish, Song Zhao interrupted him somewhat awkwardly. Xiaolin, you're quite talkative today. Xiaolin sighed inwardly. Life is hard. Song Zhao suddenly asked, how are things with the Xie family? Xiaolin turned to him and said, after the old man saw the news about you and those two models at the hotel, he broke off your engagement with Miss Xie. He was quite happy about it. Song Zhao said indifferently, then let it be broken off. But Xiaolin continued, however, Miss Xie doesn't seem willing. Song Zhao's expression changed. He exclaimed, what? Xiaolin relayed. Miss Xie said, if he thinks he can break off the engagement like this, he's thinking too simply. Hearing this, Song Zhao's face was filled with disgust. At Quan's home, a package was delivered. She was overjoyed, thinking it was something good sent by her mother. What good things has Mom sent me this time? But after opening it, she was terrified. Inside was a dead cat covered in blood. She recoiled in horror, her stomach churning. Ugh, why me? Why would I receive something like this? Quan covered her mouth, her face blank. Who would send me a dead cat? Just then, her phone suddenly buzzed with a new message. She quickly checked. It was a text message from a stranger. Quan, do you like the cat I sent you? She frowned, both curious and afraid. Who are you? The other party quickly replied with a sneer, your father deserves to die, and so do you. They also threatened, don't call the police, or you'll never see your father again. She was suspicious. Why should I believe you? The person seemed to know her weakness. I have the blue shirt your father was wearing when he went out. This startled Quan, her face instantly paling. After calming down, she immediately called the number back. But the phone was already turned off. Quan bit her lip, trembling. Who is behind this? If you dare do this again, I will not let you off. After a busy day at work, Quan soaked in a warm bath to relax, trying to forget all her troubles. She unknowingly fell asleep, her cheeks flushed, sleeping peacefully and beautifully. Suddenly, the phone on the table rang frantically. Quan woke up with a start and answered the phone irritably. Hello? On the other end, Song Zhao lay in bed, his voice weak. Xiaolin, come here. He started coughing violently after he spoke, the sound so unpleasant it made one afraid to approach. Quan had to hold the phone away, as if afraid of being infected. She said softly, President Song, it's Quan. But he didn't seem to hear, just instructed, Xiaolin, buy some antipyretics and come here. He hung up after saying that. Quan shouted at the phone, hello, Song Zhao. Beep, the call ended. She guessed he was delirious with fever. She quickly dialed Xiaolin's number. It rang a few times, but no one answered. The system prompted, the number you dialed is temporarily unavailable. Quan's eyes reddened. She stood up with difficulty, staring at the phone screen and muttering, Song Zhao and I are definitely astrologically incompatible. Forget it. She couldn't afford to offend Song Zhao. She reluctantly rushed to his house. From afar, she saw a luxurious villa, brightly lit, particularly conspicuous in the bustling neighborhood. Quan looked around. The interior decoration was extremely exquisite and unique, making it hard not to admire. It was astonishing that there could be such a large villa in the city center. She quickly reached out and rang the doorbell again and again. After waiting for a long time without anyone answering the door, Quan started to worry. What if he fainted? Why isn't anyone opening the door? Anxiously, she dialed Xiaolin's number again. This time, it finally connected, and Xiaolin's sleepy voice came through. She said urgently, Assistant Xiao. He quickly asked, Director G, why are you calling so late? I'm sorry, I just fell asleep. She explained the situation on the phone. President Song accidentally dialed my number just now and said he was sick. I'm at his villa gate now, and I've been ringing the doorbell for a long time, but no one answered. Xiaolin said calmly, It's okay. I'll tell you the password. You can go straight in. Hearing this, she was about to explode with anger, her face full of bewilderment. This shouldn't be her responsibility at all. Quan forced a smile. Thank you. Xiaolin said politely, You're welcome. It's what I should do. After hanging up the phone, she used the password to open the door and walked in. The inside was indeed shockingly spacious, but there was no one in the house, only the sound of coughing. Cough, cough. Quan walked to Song Zhao's private room and knocked on the door. Song Zhao. It was Quan. No one opened the door, but the coughing grew heavier. She tentatively went inside. Song Zhao lay motionless on the bed, shirtless. Quan walked over, placed a medicine bag on the bedside table, and sighed as she looked at the scars on his back. It seemed the wounds had become infected, causing a high fever. Quan reached out and touched his forehead. His face was flushed, and he coughed incessantly. She smiled softly. When he wasn't talking, he looked like a little puppy. Just who beat him up like this? His breath was scorching. She gently stroked his cheek. Suddenly, Song Zhao gripped her hand tightly. His voice was hoarse. Water, he rasped. Quan immediately stood up. I'll get you some water. But as she turned, a force suddenly pulled her back. Her eyes widened, completely bewildered. Song Zhao had sat up, and she fell directly into his arms. Their eyes met, the scene momentarily awkward. His cheeks flushed. He leaned closer to Quan, his gaze hazy. Quan's heart raced, her small hand resting on his firm chest. Softly, she called out, Song Zhao. Song Zhao suddenly spoke. Quan, you think I wouldn't dare? Hearing this, she broke out in a cold sweat, her eyes widening. Dare what? With his last bit of strength, he pushed her onto the bed. In an instant, he was on top of her, the scene heart-poundingly intimate. Pressed close together, she could clearly feel the heat radiating from his body. Quan desperately tried to push him away, but it was no use. In the haze of his fever, he forcefully kissed her lips. Ugh, seriously. Her hands were trapped beneath him, unable to break free. They kissed deeply for a long time, the sound punctuated by breathless moans. Like a zombie, Song Zhao continued. That night, I clearly wanted to refuse, but you kept teasing me. Oh God, the awkwardness was excruciating. Quan turned her head away, muttering to herself, I'm the victim here. I was drugged. I had no choice. He suddenly whispered in her ear, You ungrateful wretch. She didn't have time to react before he muttered more harsh words. All these years, how much time and money have I wasted on you? As soon as he finished speaking, he collapsed on top of her. It took considerable effort to push him off. After struggling for a while, Quan finally rolled him onto his side, panting and complaining. Hot and heavy, you almost crushed me. She glanced at him, puzzled by his earlier words, wasted time and money on her. By now, Song Zhao was fast asleep, completely out of it. A rare look of innocence graced his face. She pouted, muttering in annoyance, delirious from the fever. What a drama queen. After some time, Quan carefully brought over water, calling out, President Song, time for your medicine. But he remained motionless, showing no signs of waking. His lips were swollen and red, looking pitiful. Yet, those same lips had just forcefully kissed her. Quan rolled her eyes, a flicker of panic in her chest as her heart suddenly quickened. What was going on? She pondered for a moment, then a thought struck her, and she devised a way to get him to drink the water. In no time, he had swallowed it all. Mission accomplished, she immediately called Xiaolin to report. Assistant Xiao, President Song has taken his medicine. I'm about to leave, but he pleaded, Director G, could you possibly look after President Song tonight? I really can't get away, and he doesn't want the housekeeper to take care of him. She stood there, speechless, not immediately agreeing. Seeing her silence, Xiaolin continued pathetically, Director G, please, I really can't get away, and President Song doesn't like the housekeeper caring for him. Hearing this, she was momentarily at a loss for words, thinking he doesn't want the housekeeper, but he's fine with a stranger. Quan looked at the pitiful Song Zhao on the bed. Her heart softened, and she reluctantly agreed. Fine, since I'm already here. And so, Quan resigned herself to spending the night at Song Zhao's villa. The room was quiet. Curled up on the small sofa in the living room, she couldn't sleep. In a new place, her eyelids fluttered open and closed, completely sleepless. Completely unable to sleep, Quan rolled over and grabbed her phone to message her best friend. To her surprise, the reply came within seconds. Wu Shu, her true bestie, responded in under 5 seconds, helping a colleague tail her boyfriend. Guess who I'm following? Liao Bei, Song Zhaoli's childhood friend. Jolted awake by this bombshell in the middle of the night, Quan sat up, ready for some gossip. Wu Shu suddenly asked, "Why are you awake too? Did your client make you work overtime again?" Quan replied honestly, sort of, "I'm currently sleeping on the living room sofa." Upon hearing Quan, Wu Shu immediately became incredibly excited, conjuring up all sorts of scenarios and exclaiming, "The living room sofa." You've already progressed to that stage. Seeing her bestie's imagination run wild, Quan quickly messaged back, "It's not what you think." Wu Shu quickly brought the conversation back to the main point. "Let's talk business. My cousin is free this weekend. I'll arrange a meeting for you two to get your story straight, so you don't slip up in front of your mom." Quan didn't refuse and immediately agreed. "Then tomorrow. I'm free tomorrow." They quickly finalized the plan. "Okay, tomorrow then." Quan also quickly prepared for bed. "I'm going to sleep. Good night." The next morning, sunlight streamed through the living room windows, making the room warmer. Quan was still sound asleep on the sofa. She slept soundly, her delicate face like an angel's. At this moment, Song Zhaoli woke up and stared at her, captivated by the pure girl before him. Suddenly, his gaze was drawn to his cell phone. The phone on the table was ringing. Seeing a new message pop up, Song Zhaoli didn't hesitate to pick up her phone and check it. He opened it and saw a threatening message from an unknown number. "You think blocking me is enough? Quan, do you really not want to live?" He immediately tensed up, his expression turning serious, thinking someone is threatening her. Quan slowly opened her eyes, still hazy and sleepy from just waking up. The morning light shone into her eyes. She rubbed her eyes and slowly sat up. Seeing him holding her phone, she immediately questioned, "President Song, why do you have my phone?" He, dressed in pajamas, unashamedly retorted, "Someone sent you a threatening message." His tone carried a hint of displeasure as he pressed, "Who is it?" Quan walked over to retrieve her phone. He stared at her blankly. Clutching her phone tightly, she lowered her lashes and replied, "I don't know. They used a different number to send me messages yesterday. I've already blocked them." Song Zhaoli looked at her with concern. "Blocked them? You've been threatened like this. Why didn't you call the police? What good is just blocking them?" With her back to him, her voice filled with helplessness and sadness, she said word by word, "Song Zhaoli, I'm not you. I can't live so freely. I still have people I need to take care of and protect." Hearing this, a flicker of pity crossed his eyes. He immediately took out his phone and made a call. "Hello, help me investigate someone." Quan was startled by this action. Song Zhaoli instructed his subordinate, "The sooner the better. I'll send you the number right away." She looked at him in confusion, thinking, Song Zhaoli is actually going to help me. Before long, he had arranged everything and seemed relieved. Suddenly, he asked seriously, "Did you bring the contract?" She honestly replied, "No, the contract is at the company." Song Zhaoli didn't ask any more work-related questions and turned to leave. They slowly went downstairs, and he carefully instructed, "We'll take your car. We'll go to Wanshang to get the contract first, and then to Song Corp to sign it." She obediently agreed, "Okay, President Song." After walking a few steps, he suddenly stopped and asked with anticipation in his eyes, Quan, did I do anything to you last night?" Her cheeks flushed, and she awkwardly turned her head away. No, nothing happened. But seeing her shy demeanor, Song Zhaoli seemed to have guessed something, only chuckling softly without exposing her. Downstairs, Aunt Xiao had already prepared a sumptuous breakfast and respectfully greeted them. "Young master, Miss G, come and have breakfast." Seeing the table full of dishes, Quan couldn't help but be surprised. "These are all Yinqing dishes." Song Zhaoli tilted his head slightly and explained coldly, "Don't misunderstand. This is to thank you for taking care of me last night. Aunt Zhao specially made them." Aunt Zhao stepped forward and handed her milk, casually saying, "Miss G is even more beautiful now than when you were in school." Song Zhaoli quickly coughed twice to interrupt. "Ahem, Aunt Zhao, please go ahead and do your work." He handed her the milk and said, "Director G, drink your milk while it's hot." She accepted it happily. "Thank you, President Song. I'm full. I'll go get the car and the contract right away." After eating, they quickly went downstairs to the garage. Song Zhaoli walked forward first and opened the car door for her, which greatly surprised Quan. Seeing her stunned, he asked unhappily, "What are you looking at? Is the passenger seat only for boyfriends?" She quickly regained her composure and replied with a slightly stiff expression, "No, I just thought President Song would sit in the back." She naively thought that bosses always sat in the back. Suddenly, Song Zhaoli's phone rang. He answered the call, his tone becoming tense. Seeing him like this, she couldn't help but look up curiously and ask, "President Song, what happened?" He stared at the phone screen, a smile playing on his lips, and announced the good news. They found the person who sent the threatening messages. Song Zhaoli glanced at her, emphasizing that it was Xiao Jin. The atmosphere instantly quieted. They stood in front of the car, but neither rushed to get in. Song Zhaoli took a step closer, his tone teasing. "Aren't you going to settle the score with me?" Quan calmly raplia. "No." "President Song, are you sure this investigation result is accurate?" He smiled. "So, Director G thinks the people around me are useless." Quan remained calm, showing little reaction. "No, thank you for helping me." Her composure surprised even Song Zhaoli. He glanced at her. "What do you plan to do next?" Her face was expressionless, like a stone sculpture. "I haven't thought about it yet," she replied deliberately. Song Zhaoli said eagerly, "I can help you." Quan didn't want to be indebted to him. "You've already helped me a lot. I can't accept unearned favors." She fell into thought. Men are nice to women either out of pity or desire. I don't like either. Meanwhile, Song Zhaoli's face was calculating. As expected, she still won't accept. He smiled gently and made a solemn promise. "If you need help, I'm always here." They soon arrived at the Song Corporation, the president's office, or rather, Song Zhaoli's office. He held the contract in his hand, but his mind was on Quan. He couldn't help but ask, "Why did you choose to come to Qingchuang in the first place?" He voiced his guess. Because of Xiao Jun. Quan immediately denied it. "No," she reminded him, "President Song, you need to sign here." Song Zhaoli wasn't giving up. He put down the contract and asked again, "Then why did you come to Qingchuang?" Knowing she couldn't avoid the question, Quan smoothed her hair and answered lightly, "Because of the money." Wanshang offered a higher salary. He sneered, a trace of disdain on his face. Just because of that, he quickly signed a contract with his pen. Once it was signed, Quan said with a hint of fatigue, "President Song, I believe love exists in this world, but I'm not a fool." A flicker of displeasure crossed Song Zhaoli's face. He asked coldly, "If Song Corp offered you a higher salary, would you come?" Quan froze for a few seconds, seemingly tempted. "If you're serious, President Song, then I'll seriously consider it," she replied slowly. He stroked his chin, a playful look on his face. "What's your current salary?" Quan didn't hide anything. 600,000, she stated directly. His expression was firm and decisive. "I'll give you 1,200,000. Once you finish the handover procedures at Wanshang, come report to Song Corporation." Quan was a little surprised, but she had her principles. She politely declined his offer. "Thank you for your generosity, President Song, but I'm not worth that much." Song Zhaoli's gaze fixed on her, completely taken aback by her decision. He clicked his tongue in disbelief. Who would refuse money? Quan answered earnestly, "No one refuses money, but compared to the effort required and the risks involved, it's not worth it. Too much money is a death warrant." Suddenly, her phone rang, breaking the awkward silence. She glanced at him politely. "President Song, I need to take this call." "Hello, Wushu." The voice on the other end was urgent. Quan, can you come to the police station? I've been arrested." The surrounding police officers, seeing her crying so hard, began to murmur. "What did she do?" A colleague whispered, "Seems like she smashed someone's car and got caught red-handed." Quan quipped, "Wasn't she going undercover? How did she end up at the police station?" Wushu cried as she urgently explained, Quan, please, you're the only one who can save me now." Seeing her best friend about to be locked up, Quan couldn't bear it. "Okay, I'm coming right away," she quickly agreed. After hanging up, Quan turned to Song Zhaoli. "President Song, something came up. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now." He didn't try to stop her. She added, "Then I'll be going." Still, he couldn't help but ask, "Really not considering coming to my company?" Quan turned back, but didn't answer immediately. After a moment, she said, "I'll think about it. Give me a salary that matches my abilities, and also..." Before she could finish, he interrupted, as if reading her mind. "I won't make things difficult for you." Afraid of delaying her, he urged, Go on, take care of your business." Quan was overjoyed. Gotta go. Goodbye, President Song." Soon, Quan arrived at the police station as promised, to rescue her best friend. Seeing her, Wushu immediately threw herself into her arms, sobbing uncontrollably, leaving Quan bewildered. "Did I mess up the undercover mission?" she asked. Wushu covered her face, sobbing. My colleague told me that her sugar daddy dumped Li Yajing, but I was following Li Yaobei. Quan finally understood. She asked slowly, and Wushu burst into helpless tears. To stick up for a colleague, I poured oil on his car. It was a Ferrari 458. If I remember correctly, that thing costs about 4 million. Meanwhile, Li Yaobei was talking to the police. Determined to teach Wushu a lesson she wouldn't forget, he suggested to the officer, I'm willing to settle this privately. How about this? I'll give you a discount. 3 million, and the car is hers. Seeing Wushu's pitiful state, the officer tried to persuade him. Mr. Li, don't make things difficult for the young lady. 3 million. She's just a fashion magazine editor. Li Yaobei smiled. Officer, you don't want me to suffer a loss, do you? The officer quickly explained, Mr. Li, don't misunderstand. I'm just saying, is there another way? Like repairing the car. At this moment, Li Yaobei suddenly looked towards Wushu. Wushu fearfully buried her face in Quan's shoulder. He's looking over here. He wants to settle the score with me, right? What should I do? Contrary to Wushu's thoughts, Li Yaobei suddenly called out happily, Quan, why are you here too? Hearing him call her name, Quan was taken aback. Do you know me? Li Yaobei panika inwarli. Oops, I let it slip. I need to fix this. A thought suddenly struck him. Song Zhao is my bro. So he replied cheerfully, you don't know me, bro. Does this name ring a bell? Hearing this name, a joyful expression appeared on Quan's face. She mistakenly thought bro was Li Yaobei, the person who had secretly helped her before. Li Yaobei, realizing Quan had mistaken his identity, quickly raised his hand to explain, no. Actually, Before he could finish, she had already walked forward resolutely and said, actually, I've always wanted to thank you in person. Thank you for all your help. Li Yaobei was speechless, looking awkwardly at Wushu. He asked, haha, so she's your friend. Wushu was startled and hid behind Quan, glancing at her friend. Yes, she's my best friend. Li Yaobei said, your friend is very loyal. Hearing this, she forced a smile, trying to lighten the mood. Mr. Li, don't worry, we won't skip out on the compensation. It's just that we might need some time. Li Yaobei's expression suddenly changed. He said happily to the officer, Officer, let's drop this case. Forget the compensation too. Quan asked in surprise, how can we? This isn't a small amount. He made an excuse. Just consider me giving you face. Seeing her still hesitating, Li Yaobei had a sudden idea. How about this? You come to my house and work as a housekeeper for 2 months, and we'll call even. Wushu, a little worried, muttered softly, 2 months might be a little too short. That's 3 million. After all, he didn't want to argue with her anymore, and waved his hand decisively. 6 months. It's settled. In reality, he just wanted to leave quickly, lest the situation escalate. Just as he was awkwardly preparing to leave, Quan suddenly called out from behind, please wait. Li Yaobei froze, turned around, and she stepped forward, offering her phone. Mr. Li, would it be convenient to exchange contact information? Seeing her resolute attitude, Li Yaobei reluctantly agreed. We can exchange contact information, but let me make this clear, don't mention pay me back again. As soon as he finished speaking, he jumped into his car, slamming the door shut, leaving the 2 girls standing there dumbfounded. Li Yaobei started the car and sped off like lightning. Wushu said to Quan doubtfully, Quan, why do I feel like he was running away? At that moment, in the speeding supercar, Li Yaobei suddenly remembered something. Call Song Zhao. The call connected quickly, and Li Yaobei said awkwardly, old song if you did a good deed, but someone else took the credit, what would you do? On the other end of the phone, Song Zhao replied coldly, it depends on what kind of good deed. Hearing this, Li Yaobei almost cried. He mustered his courage and asked, what if they were mistaken for a benefactor? As expected, Song Zhao's expression changed upon hearing this. He gritted his teeth and threatened, are you looking for death? Li Yaobei's face paled with fright. He quickly said, old Song, I didn't do it on purpose. It was really just a misunderstanding. Song Zhao still didn't understand what he was talking about. What exactly happened? The atmosphere in the CEO's office suddenly became tense. Song Zhao stood up with a displeased expression, his murderous aura as if he wanted to devour his friend alive. Li Yaobei trembled all over, kneeling on the ground, not daring to say a word. Song Zhao put his hands in his pockets, lost in thought, filled with jealousy. Li Yaobei, trembling, recounted the whole story. That's what happened. Quan mistook me for you, bro. I really didn't impersonate you on purpose. After all that, Song Zhao was concerned about something else. He gritted his teeth and asked with a hint of bitterness, then why did she ask for your phone number? Liao Bei suddenly burst into tears, clinging to Song Zhaoli's leg and desperately explaining, "Brother, I just want you to be happy. How can you and Quan keep going on like this?" Song Zhaoli pushed him away with a look of disgust, telling him to get lost. Just then, Liao Bei's phone rang. He quickly answered, "Hello, who is this?" A voice came from the other end. "Hello, Mr. Liao. This is Wu Shu. I'm the one who was blind and bold enough to pour paint on your car, and then was magnanimously forgiven by you." He had a terrible impression of this girl and asked coldly, "What do you want?" Wu Shu's voice trembled as she pleaded, "Can I take a leave of absence today? Something happened to my friend. We're at the police station now." Liao Bei was startled and deliberately spoke loudly, so Song Zhaoli could hear what happened to Quan. "Why is she suddenly at the police station?" Song Zhaoli immediately became extremely concerned, listening intently to the phone call. After hearing what had happened, Liao Bei quickly agreed. "What? Attacked by her ex-boyfriend's mother. I approve your leave. Call me again after you leave the police station." Song Zhaoli's attitude immediately changed, and he asked softly, "What happened to her?" Liao Bei regained his smug look and teased, "Who are you asking about?" He boldly joked, "You like Quan, don't you?" Song Zhaoli turned his face away, somewhat embarrassed, and retorted angrily, "Your nearsightedness is hopeless. You're always fantasizing." Liao Bei didn't argue, simply saying, "Fine, consider it my overthinking." Soon, Wu Shu called Liao Bei as promised. After the matter was resolved, he asked cheerfully, "Hello, Wu Shu, you guys got out so quickly. What are we having for dinner tonight?" Seizing the opportunity, Liao Bei suggested, "How about barbecue at Quan's place tonight? Do you two mind? I'll buy the ingredients, and Quan can cook." Wu Shu happily agreed. Okay, no problem. See you later." After hanging up, she turned to Quan and asked, "Where were we?" Quan reminded her, "We were talking about Xiao Jin's mother." Wu Shu's face was filled with indignation, her expression darkening. "Honestly, Xiao Jin's family is too much. Their son got fired for messing around with the boss's wife, and now his mother is trying to frame you. We should have dragged that crazy, rumor-mongering woman to the police station and let her experience the power of the law." Quan forced a smile and said, "All right, you've been cursing them for half a day now. Take a break." As soon as she finished speaking, Wu Shu hurried off. "I'll go get something from the car. Wait for me." Now Quan was standing there alone, unaware of the danger lurking behind her. A dark figure was watching her from the back. She stood there for a long time, with no one around. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from behind, Quan. Startled, she turned around abruptly. It was none other than her scumbag ex-boyfriend, Xiao Jin. He was wearing a hoodie, covering his face, and walked over with a worried look. Quan, what happened today wasn't my mother's intention. I'll have her apologize to you later." Quan avoided him with disgust. She said coldly, "No need. Can you just stay away from me? I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore." Hearing this, his eyes widened in disbelief. Then, Xiao Jin lunged at her like a madman, yelling, "Who are you pretending to be? You acted all pure and innocent in front of me, saying we should wait until marriage. Now you're with Song Zhaoli, and you don't even need a room, just doing it in the car, right?" Facing his humiliation, Quan glared at him coldly and retorted, "Are you done?" She didn't deny it, but admitted frankly, "Yes, my lover is Song Zhaoli." She looked directly into Xiao Jin's eyes and said provocatively, "I didn't want to sleep with you before, but with him, I don't even need a room. A car is enough. What do you want to say?" These words almost drove Xiao Jin insane, his eyes looking as if he wanted to swallow her whole. The two continued to argue, with Xiao Jin being aggressive. "You have the guts to say that again." Quan didn't back down. "I can say 1,000,000 times. Do you want to hit me?" Just then, Song Zhaoli happened to be driving by and saw them arguing from afar. Xiao Jin became even more outrageous, threatening, Quan, you think I wouldn't dare hit you?" Before he could finish his sentence, she slapped him hard across the face. His face immediately swelled up. After being slapped, he cursed angrily, "Bitch is a bitch." Goes crazy after one slap. Doesn't even blink when hitting a woman. He stared at her fiercely. He couldn't suppress his rage any longer and raised his hand to hit Quan. At this critical moment, Song Zhaoli appeared like a god, kicking the scumbag away with a flying kick, rescuing the damsel in distress. Xiao Jin fell to the ground pathetically, clutching his groin and trembling all over. Beside him was the delicate and beautiful Quan. Song Zhaoli rushed to Quan's side anxiously and asked, "Are you okay?" I'm fine," she stammered. Facing this scum, he spoke with the authority of CEO. "Do you know who I am?" Of course, this lowly Zhao Jin couldn't possibly not know him, stammering, Song Zhaoli, President Song. Seeing him trembling like a leaf, clearly terrified out of his wits, useless as always, he coldly spat out, get lost. Don't let me see you again. After Zhao Jin stumbled away, he turned his attention to the two strangers who had suddenly appeared, asking, President Song, President Liao? Li Yaobei greeted them with a smile. Hey, what a coincidence. We meet again. Then, everyone went to Ji Quan's place. Wu Shu, seeing the two new guests, asked in surprise, why is Song Zhaoli here too? The quick-witted Li Yaobei quipped, we're here to freeload. Didn't we mention it on the phone? Rich people slumming it. Song Zhaoli, looking bewildered, held a can of soda and asked, what is this? A drink. Seeing this, Li Yaobei casually replied, who knows? That whole bag is probably what she bought for you. Meanwhile, Ji Quan and Wu Shu were quietly observing them. Wu Shu whispered in her ear, Li Yaobei is the one who actually helped you. Are you sure? He doesn't look the type at all. Seeing her confusion, Wu Shu added, he's a regular at the hotel. Doesn't seem like someone who would do that kind of thing. Meanwhile, the subject of their discussion was cheerfully calling out, old Song, let's go. Let's drink till we drop. Even Song Zhaoli couldn't help but frown, saying with disgust, are you crazy? Now she finally understood what her best friend meant. Ji Quan hesitated for a moment, then replied, but even my mom doesn't know that person's name. Suddenly, he appeared behind her, asking, need any help? Wu Shu, understanding the situation, casually made an excuse and slipped away, giving them some space to develop their feelings. I'll go wash the vegetables. She quietly returned to her own tasks. She flipped the grilling meat, taking the opportunity to thank him. No need for help. You and President Liao just sit over there. Thank you for what happened earlier. Suddenly, he reached out and tucked her hair behind her ear, startling her. You're welcome. Even if I hadn't come, you could have handled it. He spoke as gently as a lover, helping her fix her hair while casually replying, making her cheeks flush. But they weren't the only ones there, and these actions made everyone else feel a little awkward. Wu Shu was stunned, thinking to herself, oh my god, Song Zhaoli is such a smooth talker, completely different from the arranged blind dates at home. He's sincere. I have to remember these moves. They're practically a textbook. I must use them next time. Wu Shu cleared her throat, startling both Song Zhaoli and Ji Quan, who looked at her simultaneously. All right, everyone, have a seat, she said awkwardly. Just then, Li Yaobei appeared to help his friend out. President Song, sit here, this spot is good. This made Wu Shu even more speechless. Delicious dishes were already spread across the table, appealing to all senses as if dining in a five-star restaurant. Li Yaobei praised. Ji Quan, your cooking is really good. It looks and smells delicious. She suggested, President Liao, try the beef. It tastes even better. Really? I'll try it then. He politely responded, not noticing someone staring at him with sharp eyes. Just like that, he unintentionally opened Song Zhaoli's vinegar jar. Song Zhaoli said seriously, President Liao, I remember you don't really like beef, do you? Li Yaobei didn't dare touch the beef anymore, quickly agreeing, right, I don't really like beef. Old Song, you try it. Song Zhaoli, unconcerned, directly picked up a piece of beef and put it in his mouth, savoring the aroma and smacking his lips. After eating, he casually folded his arms and coolly commented, not bad. This caused Wu Shu, who was eating, to cough a few times and sneak a glance at Ji Quan. Then she suddenly said, by the way, Quan, don't forget to bring your brother home to meet your mom this Saturday. This reminded her of that matter. Wu Shu cheerfully teased, seriously, haha, where are you going to find a boyfriend to bring home and meet your mom next week? I don't know, she replied. Ji Quan recalled their conversation from a few days ago. Wu Shu had said, if it's someone you know from Song Corp, it can only be Song Zhaoli. You can't bring President Song. He's a playboy. The rest happened as before, and she agreed with a smile. Okay. Wu Shu took the opportunity to start chattering. When you and your brother get married, you have to give me 2 red envelopes. 2? She asked, puzzled. Wu Shu immediately replied, one is a name-changing fee, and the other is a bridesmaid fee. She also teased back, don't worry, you won't be short on red envelopes, making someone almost lose their grip on their chopsticks. Hearing this, Song Zhaoli's expression immediately changed, clearly displeased. Li Yaobei hadn't caught on to his mood at all, his head full of question marks. As if they were on the same wavelength, Li Yaobei immediately teased, what's wrong? Someone beat you to it. Someone else is second. You can only be third. Song Zhaoli couldn't stand it anymore and coldly replied with a barbed remark. Go away. The atmosphere is super romantic. The dim lighting makes the whole ambience even better. Meanwhile, just like in other apartments, the lights are still on inside. Li Yaobei smiled as he took out his bottle of high-end alcohol, saying, by the way, I brought some alcohol. Want to try some? Quan, straightforward as always, went along with the atmosphere and said, Wu Shu and I can't really hold our liquor. Just a little bit is fine. Li Yaobei, always trying to be thoughtful, said, drink as much as you want. Song Zhao sat on the side, his face full of anticipation. Li Yaobei quickly poured the alcohol. Here, let me pour you a glass. Thank you, Li Yaobei. She took the glass. After pouring drinks for everyone, Li Yaobei declared magnanimously, we drink for pleasure, not to get wasted. Seeing this, Quan didn't hold back and downed her drink in one gulp. Her eyes sparkled as she stared at the empty glass, as if she had just finished the most delicious barley milkshake. After a few rounds, Quan's cheeks flushed and slightly tipsy. She boldly asked, actually, I've always been curious. Why do you call yourself Boji? After finishing her question, she stared intently at Li Yaobei, eagerly awaiting his answer. After a few seconds of silence, Song Zhao also looked at him curiously, wanting to hear what he had to say. Song Zhao suddenly gritted his teeth, cursing inwardly, Li Yaobei, you're dead. Seeing that Li Yaobei didn't answer, Quan asked suspiciously, Li Yaobei, is this inconvenient to talk about? Li Yaobei hesitated for a long time, unable to speak. Finally, Song Zhao spoke first. Bo is often used to refer to an older brother, but here, it means husband. She froze, her mind not yet processing the information. I asked Li Yaobei, how did Song Zhao end up answering? She awkwardly covered her face, and Song Zhao was also a little embarrassed, not understanding what was wrong with her. As a result, Wu Shu exploded like a mother hen protecting her chick. Song Zhao, why are you answering? Wu Shu shouted angrily. Quan asked him, not you. Li Yaobei rubbed his forehead in frustration, trying to smooth things over. All right, let's stop drinking for tonight. As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at Song Zhao and said, Lao Song, let's go. Song Zhao casually made an excuse. I'll have some more tea before I leave. Li Yaobei was too lazy to argue, complaining silently. More tea. I'm leaving. Song Zhao just glanced at him, meaning get lost. The poor guy had to go and pull Wu Shu. I'll take you home. Wu Shu looked back in confusion. You wanted to pay you back now. Thus began a completely pointless conversation. He patiently explained, no, I'll take you home. But she was already too drunk to be coherent, stubbornly saying, no need, I'm sleeping at Yuan's tonight. Li Yaobei continued to persuade her, my driver is downstairs. It's really convenient. She still insisted, not letting go, I want to sleep with Quan. He finally managed to get her out the door, only to hear a loud bang. Now that it was just the two of them, Song Zhao asked her if she wanted to sober up. She asked groggily, where's Wu Shu? He told her, Li Yaobei's driver is taking her home downstairs. She picked up her tea, somewhat confused, and said, thanks, they've all left. Why haven't you left yet? He ignored her question and asked instead, why did you go to the police station today? She told him everything, with a hint of grievance in her voice. Xiao Jin's mother stopped me at the entrance of the complex today, spouting nonsense, so I called the police. He frowned, worriedly asking, Xiao Jin again. She suddenly said sadly, by the way, Xiao Jin knows you're my sugar daddy now. He was still lost in thought and didn't hear her clearly. Quan repeated, I said, Xiao Jin knows you're my sugar daddy, and he's threatening me. He gently stroked her head, repeating the newly learned term, sugar daddy. That's me, your kept man. She innocently stated the facts. He smiled tenderly, teasing her, I'm your kept man. Can you afford me? As he spoke, Song Zhao moved closer to Quan. Their eyes met, and she shyly couldn't take her eyes off his handsome face. Quan's cheeks flushed as she softly asked, are you expensive? Song Zhao said ambiguously, try it and you'll find out. He then leaned down and picked her up, her legs wrapping around his waist, her arms holding him tight. He asked in surprise, not running away anymore. She murmured drunkenly, Song Zhao. The two were practically glued together, as if they could feel each other's heartbeats. Song Zhao took the opportunity to ask, why did you come to Qingsheng after graduation? Jumped into the tiger's den yourself. Quan didn't answer. Instead, she took the initiative to kiss him, silencing him, as if not wanting to waste a single second of their time alone. The scene cuts to the lobby of Song Zhao's company, where Song Zhao is resting his chin on his hand and commenting, Director G, is this the Christmas event plan you designed for the hotel? I'm not very satisfied with this proposal, or rather, Director G hasn't come up with any couples activities. Quan seriously accepted the feedback, saying if President Song wasn't satisfied, she would go back and revise it. Song Zhaoli placed the proposal on the table and slowly said, "Let's follow your process now and see if there's anything that needs improvement." Quan asked blankly, "What do you mean?" Song Zhaoli explained with a smile, "Now you play the role of my girlfriend, and we'll go to the hotel together to experience the whole process." Quan still seemed a little confused. She hesitantly refused, "President Song, this isn't very appropriate, is it? Why don't you find someone else?" He turned around coldly and replied, "Director G, this is your job." Quan had no choice but to reluctantly follow him, while explaining each step of the proposal. First, guests will receive couples' outfits upon checking into the hotel to enhance the romantic atmosphere of the date. She added, of course, if the guests don't like them, they can choose not to wear them. Song Zhaoli immediately said, "I choose to wear them," while Quan said, "I choose not to." He glanced at her and reminded, "Director G, please be more professional." After saying that, he directly pulled her away, making Quan a little angry, who was making things difficult for whom just now. Before her was a dazzling array of jewelry, the luxurious room filled with precious ornaments. Quan's eyes widened in surprise as she discovered the room displayed a variety of wedding dresses in different styles. Song Zhaoli walked over and, not seeing Quan, called out worriedly, "Director G." Suddenly, a sound caught his attention. Luxurious jewels adorned her snowy white neck, accentuating her attractive collarbone. Unexpectedly, it was Quan who had just emerged from the dressing room. As soon as he saw her, he naturally took her hand and led her along. "Let's go, I'm actually a little hungry." The two quickly arrived at the hotel restaurant. Song Zhaoli said, "A romantic candlelit dinner is essential for a date." Quan immediately retorted, "But still." She suddenly stopped. The indifference in her eyes was completely replaced by surprise. Before her was a table laden with a sumptuous feast. Candlelight flickered and flowers were fragrant. Quan couldn't help but look at him admiringly, silently praising him in her heart. So he had prepared all this in advance. She sat down excitedly, ready to enjoy the delicious food. Unexpectedly, Song Zhaoli's words interrupted the atmosphere again. "All right, back to work." Quan thought helplessly. It seemed Song Zhaoli really was hungry and had come to the restaurant to discuss work incidentally. She didn't think much of it and said while eating, "This is the initial concept I designed. The details can, of course, be further optimized." After listening, he asked with some confusion, "Isn't dating all about the guy showing off, giving gifts, and proposing?" Quan gently shook her head. "My design doesn't include those things. Everything depends on the man's sincerity." Suddenly, Song Zhaoli took out a ring box and placed it in front of her, startling Quan. She was so flustered she couldn't speak. "You." Song Zhaoli opened the box, revealing a valuable diamond ring inside. He said casually, "For you." He looked down at the ring and muttered to himself, "Does this count as sincerity?" Quan couldn't help but blush, admitting that her heart skipped a beat at that moment. It turned out that surprises were more touching than elaborate designs. She replied happily, "President Song, your suggestions are very helpful." Seeing her say this, Song Zhaoli couldn't help but feel a little annoyed and sighed. "This woman is really dense. She still thinks I'm just discussing work with her." After finishing their meal, the two threw themselves back into work, starting to tour the hotel rooms. Quan showed Song Zhaoli around, soliciting his opinion. "These are the room types we've arranged for the event. President Song, do you have any thoughts?" He walked to the lounge area and asked curiously, "Is there a hot spring here?" Quan, thinking he was about to make a suggestion, held her pen ready to take notes. "President Song, go ahead, I'll write it down." Song Zhaoli turned around, snatched the pen from her hand, and said with a smile, "My suggestion is, let's soak in the hot spring and then call it a day." Quan was reluctant and refused. "You soak by yourself, I'm leaving." But he stopped her together. His words made her eyes widen in surprise. He, however, unfazed, unbuttoned his shirt right in front of her and then shamelessly put his arm around Quan's shoulders, making her blush crimson. He whispered in her ear, "Looks like you're overheating. A hot spring would be just a thing to cool down." Quan still awkwardly turned her face away, saying it wasn't necessary. But Song Zhaoli jumped into the hot spring without hesitation and called out, "Are you sure you're not coming in? It's super relaxing." Though incredibly embarrassed, Quan couldn't help but imagine Song Zhaoli undoing his shirt, revealing his toned abs, dangling them before her. She cursed him inwardly, thinking this man was just showing off, deliberately tempting her. Water droplets slid down Song Zhaoli's body as he feigned nonchalance and said loudly, "Suit yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, Quan dipped her toes into the water. Song Zhaoli peeked open one eye and teased, "What changed your mind?" Quan pretended not to hear and sighed, "Work is so tiring." Song Zhaoli raised his voice, "I thought you were avoiding me, scaredy cat." Quan wasn't about to back down and immediately retorted, "We're both adults. It's not like you're going to eat me." But despite her tough words, she kept a safe distance from him. Song Zhaoli took a sip of his wine. Then he quickly moved closer to Quan, lifted her chin, and shared his wine with her, his kiss slowly trailing to her ear. Then it landed on her jaw, and the two became entangled. After a while, Song Zhaoli pulled back slightly and teased, "How does the wine taste?" But unexpectedly, she wasn't shy at all, and instead joked, "You taste better." Quan reached out and caressed Song Zhaoli's cheek, and he took the opportunity to lick her fingers, slyly. The sound of water gurgled in the hot spring. Song Zhaoli wrapped one arm around Quan's ample breasts, while the other hand took the opportunity to caress her buttocks. They were pressed close together, inseparable. His actions were too much, and Quan couldn't help but moan, gently. Afterward, she had to cover her mouth to suppress her moans, but the ambiguous sounds of water still echoed in the air. Slightly annoyed, she turned to ask Song Zhaoli, who was still kissing her body, "Are you a dog?" But she didn't get an answer. Instead, he pushed her further into the moment. The heat of the hot spring intertwined with the passion between them, and they embraced each other as they walked towards the sofa. Then they slowly moved to the bed, their moans growing louder. Quan blushed, biting her finger, and whispered his name, Song Zhaoli. Her legs trembled stiffly, "Don't." A moment later, Song Zhaoli put on a bathrobe and looked at her lying on the bed with her eyes closed. He reached out and gently stroked Quan's delicate face. Before he could do anything, she reminded him, "Don't do anything else. Let's sleep." So he leaned down and hugged her again, saying goodnight. The night was deep, and the apartment lights in the complex came on. Song Zhaoli and Quan kissed passionately in the living room, the sounds of moans and kisses rising and falling. Quan's smooth, white legs wrapped around Song Zhaoli's strong thighs. Song Zhaoli's hands tightly embraced her waist, controlling the rhythm as they continuously caressed each other, their moans incessant. Their lips and teeth intertwined, neither willing to separate. They only gently parted when they were both slightly breathless. Song Zhaoli looked directly into Quan's eyes, caressed her face, and whispered, "I won't take advantage of you." Her eyes dimmed, but her hands didn't stop. Instead, she boldly grabbed his tie and decisively said, "Come on." Song Zhaoli was a little surprised. He brought his face close, his nose rubbing against hers, and whispered, "Little fox," letting her undo his tie. Quan, lost in a hazy lust, actively laid down on the bed. She also helped him take off his jacket and pulled him in for a kiss. At first, they were a little shy, their kisses light like pecking birds. Seconds later, they were tightly embracing, passionately caressing each other. Song Zhaoli took her hand, licked her fingers, then took off his own shirt and scoffed. "You know best whether you're drunk or not." He snorted coldly and stared at Quan's naked body for a moment. Then he kissed her passionately again, continuing to conquer her body. Soon, morning arrived. The room was a mess, traces of the previous night everywhere. Quan slept soundly in Song Zhaoli's warm embrace. Quan finally opened her eyes. He kissed her ear and whispered, "Awake." Quan was still half asleep, completely unaware of what had happened. Seeing this, Song Zhaoli tentatively asked, planning on disappearing. Hearing this, Quan immediately played dead, making Song Zhaoli, lying beside her, so angry he wanted to hit her. He idly twirled a strand of her hair and asked casually, not planning on saying a word. Quan finally mustered up the courage to turn and look at him, hesitantly asking, "Last night." Song Zhaoli placed his hand on her slender arm. "Go to thank me again. Treat me to a meal. Some other day." Seeing him hit the nail on the head, Quan blushed slightly and turned her head away, embarrassed to avoid his gaze. President Song, we're both adults. Let's each take half the responsibility for last night and call it even. Song Zhao was silent for a moment after hearing this, then simply emphasized 3 words, called it even. He didn't say anything more, and the room was filled only with the sound of Quan's accelerating heartbeat, thumping uncontrollably. It wasn't until sweat trickled down her cheeks that she decided to close her eyes and pretend to continue sleeping. But ultimately, feeling guilty, she opened her eyes and turned to ask, President Song, what do you want? Song Zhao suddenly rolled over and pressed down on her, asking out of the blue, can I do whatever I want? Quan was silent after hearing this, muttering to herself, with his status, he probably wouldn't ask me to commit arson or murder, right? What if he asked me to do something I can't do? Ugh, drinking really messes things up. Song Zhao gazed at Quan affectionately. She was a little shy, but even with her cheeks flushed, she looked straight into his eyes. Suddenly, Song Zhao froze. He then turned and got out of bed, avoiding her gaze. I haven't figured out how to handle this yet. You owe me a favor. I'll tell you when I've figured out how you're going to repay it. Quan was stunned. I owe you a favor, she retorted angrily. Song Zhao said shamelessly, I'm single. You have a boyfriend. No matter how you look at it, I'm the one at a disadvantage, right? Hearing him say this, Quan was speechless for a moment, just standing there dumbfounded, her mouth open but unable to speak. When she came to her senses, she immediately pointed at his face and demanded, how did you suddenly become the victim? Clearly just now. At this moment, Quan's phone started vibrating incessantly. Answer it. It's yours. She had just picked up the phone when Wushu's voice came from the other end. Quan, I'm in trouble again. Quan asked wearily, what happened this time? I put Liao in the hospital. She said tearfully, the doctor said he'll wake up in half an hour. I'm so scared. Quan's face darkened, and she angrily hung up the phone. As soon as she hung up, Song Zhao poked his head in from behind her and asked what's wrong. Quan didn't hide anything. Liao is in the hospital now. Do you want to take this opportunity to go see him? Song Zhao whispered in her ear, okay, I'll wait for you outside. We'll go together in a bit. His breath brushed against her ear, making her cheeks burn. Why was it that the more she wanted to draw a clear line with him, the more entangled they became? By this time, Song Zhao had already straightened his clothes and walked out. Quan gave a cold snort in agreement. He stared coldly at her from behind, but she kept trying to avoid his gaze. Song Zhao was annoyed. Is she trying to keep her distance from me with this attitude? The two went to the hospital together. The hospital corridor was quiet. Liao was recuperating in his ward. Quan held a fruit basket, awkwardly going to visit Liao. Before Liao could speak, Wushu suddenly appeared, lamenting, Quan, you're finally here. I didn't know what to do. Who knew that pretty boy was so weak? I only hit him a couple of times, and he fractured a bone. Then she saw Song Zhao beside Quan and was startled. Song Zhao, why are you here too? I didn't hit him on purpose, cough, cough. Saying this, Wushu suddenly realized something was wrong. She immediately pulled Quan aside and whispered, wait, why did you two come together? What's your relationship? Quan could only blush and say, I wasn't thinking straight last night. Wushu's eyes widened. Don't tell me you're actually thinking about getting together with him. I heard that the Song family. Wushu was about to continue asking when Quan interrupted her. Let's talk about your situation first. Why did you hit him? Wushu quickly explained, it was really an accident. Yesterday, he insisted on walking me upstairs. I thought he had ulterior motives, so I didn't hesitate to give him a shoulder throw, toss him on the ground, and then lightly kicked him a couple of times. Song Zhao also came over to look at Liao and asked, let me see, are you sure this is from being beaten, not a car accident? Liao retorted, embarrassed and angry, Song Zhao, you're heartless. I'm in this state, and you still have the nerve to make fun of me. Quan pointed to Liao, who was lying on a hospital bed covered in bandages, and asked, this is what you call going easy. Wushu knew she was in the wrong and didn't dare to argue. She walked to Liao bedside and stammered, Mr. Li, I'm really sorry. I went too far. I hope you could be magnanimous and not hold it against a child. Liao only snorted, his face cold. Quan placed a card on his bedside table. Mr. Li, there's some money on this card. Things happened so suddenly, it might not cover all the medical expenses, but will definitely make up the rest later. Wushu has realized her mistake and wants to make amends. I hope you can forgive her. Song Zhao also chimed in. The young lady knows she was wrong and is willing to compensate, so just let it go. He then turned to Quan and said, your friend hasn't slept all night. Take her back to rest. But Quan shook her head. This was Wushu's fault. Whether Mr. Lee forgives her or not, we have to take responsibility and take good care of him. Just as she finished speaking, Quan's phone suddenly received a message. She clicked on the screen to check. It was a text message from an unknown number. It read, prepare, 500,000. I have news about your father. Warm sunlight streamed in through the hospital windows. At this time, Song Zhao was persuading Quan to go home. Look at you, you're exhausted. Stop worrying about this, okay? She was about to retort. Song Zhao immediately interrupted her. Don't say anything. He doesn't even care. Liaobei interjected aggrievedly. Who says I don't care? Song Zhao glared at him, silencing him. You don't care, do you? Liaobei didn't dare talk back, only muttering a response, his heart a mix of emotions. Quan forced a smile. Thank you for your understanding. Wushu and I will return the money as soon as possible. Wushu said guiltily, I'm really sorry. I promise to be more careful next time. She then pulled Quan toward the exit. All right, we're leaving now. Goodbye. As soon as they were outside, Quan began to scold Wushu. Your uncle taught you martial arts for self-defense, not for bullying people. Wushu's face was filled with remorse. I really messed up this time. Don't worry, I won't let you pay this back. But what about that text message just now? Your face suddenly changed. Quan didn't intend to hide it. It's Xiao Jin. He sent a message from an unknown number, trying to be all mysterious. I was planning to deal with it in a few days, but it seems I can't delay it any longer. Wushu looked disgusted. Disgusting. What are you going to do? Do you want me to beat him up for you? Quan pinched her face. You just put someone in the hospital, and you haven't learned your lesson. We live in a society governed by law. Wushu playfully cried out in pain. Ouch! Ouch! I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm really worried about you. You must come to me if anything happens. Don't worry, I'm prepared. Song Zhao had been eavesdropping on their conversation. Seeing that she wouldn't tell him anything, he just sighed in the parking lot. Quan stopped and walked to the passenger side of a nearby car. The person in the car said, Quan, why did you suddenly ask to meet me? Quan spoke directly. Mr. Wang, I know you're still angry with me, thinking I'm in cahoots with Xiao Jin and that you were implicated because of me. But please believe me, it's all a misunderstanding. I broke up with Xiao Jin a long time ago. Mr. Wang wasn't buying it. All right, Quan, if there's nothing else, I'll be going. I have a lot to do with the company. Seeing that he wouldn't listen, Quan stopped beating around the bush. Mr. Wang, I'll be frank. I plan to deal with Xiao Jin, and it might involve your wife. So I want to give you a heads up. I think with your connections, he won't be able to stay in Qingxin. This finally piqued Mr. Wang's interest. Oh, what are you planning to do? I'm going back to his hometown to expose all his dirty secrets and cut off his escape route. Mr. Wang clicked his tongue, finding her quite interesting. You're a woman and a company leader. Aren't you afraid of losing face? Quan shook her head decisively. Not all. This is his own doing. It has nothing to do with me. Mr. Wang didn't say anything more, only thinking that this young woman was quite something. Then go ahead with your business. I'll start preparing the divorce papers. Suddenly, an idea struck Mr. Wang. Ohat zai Quan. Quan, why don't you ask President Song for help? Quan replied coldly. I'm not that close with President Song. I'll deal with Xiao Jin's mess myself. Excuse me. With that, she turned and left. She walked to her parking spot, and once settled in her car, Quan finally breathed a sigh of relief, rubbing her aching forehead. Mr. Wang was really something, dragging Song Zhao into it out of nowhere. There's absolutely nothing between us. Lost in thought, her phone screen suddenly lit up with a new message notification. She opened it, thinking, is it Xiao Jin again? I need to stall him. He impatiently urged, have you thought about it? Quan pretended to ask, do you really have information about my father? Making him panic. Why would I lie to you? All right, 500,000 isn't a small amount. I need 2 days to prepare. Fine. Looking at the message on her phone, she felt a slight sense of relief. This should stall him for a while. I never thought I'd do something like this, but the best way to deal with him is to expose all his dirty laundry back in his hometown. Before Xiao Jin could explain, Quan coldly interrupted. Quan, listen to me. What else is there to say? Isn't seeing you in bed with Director Wang's wife enough? And he still had the nerve to try and coax her with that despicable excuse. Quan, calm down. If I appease her, I'll get a promotion and a raise. This is all for our future. But she wouldn't accept it, turning decisively to leave. Let's call off the wedding. Remember to tell your parents. words. Instead of feeling guilty, he berated her. Quan, your pathetic salary barely covers your own expenses, and you still have to pay off your father's debts. Do you think you're some kind of princess? Who else besides me would want you? That crossed the line completely. She slapped him hard, Jin staring blankly at his reddening cheek. Don't touch me with your filthy hands. Suddenly, heavy rain started pouring down outside, accompanied by booming thunder. It only fueled the hatred in Quan's heart, her hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. He not only wanted to take shortcuts by cheating, but he also shamelessly threatened her repeatedly. She couldn't be dragged down by him any longer. This kind of person deserved to be cut off completely. It had to end immediately. He needed to understand that there were consequences for trying to drag her down with him. The afternoon sun shone through the buildings of the complex, directly into Quan's room. Every corner of her room was bathed in bright light. After a good nap, Quan woke up groggily. She was still a bit disoriented, thinking, I actually slept all the way until afternoon. Just then, her phone rang. Quan rubbed her eyes and glanced at the caller ID, wondering, why would Wu Shu be calling at this hour? She stretched and answered the phone. Hello. Wu Shu's voice on the other end was frantic, and Quan instinctively held the phone away from her ear. Quan, was it you who did that to Jin? She asked back, what are you talking about? Wu Shu said excitedly, all his relatives know about his scandals now. His family is in complete chaos. Hearing this, Quan couldn't help but laugh. She casually revealed to Wu Shu, I know. The scene shifted to Jin's house last night. Quan waited until Jin's family was asleep. People in small towns have early bedtimes. All she had to do was slip these flyers under the doors of his relatives and friends. The next morning, the fact that he was fired for messing around with his former boss's wife would be exposed. Let's see how he'll face anyone back home after this. Thinking of this, she decisively slipped the flyers into every door crack. Wu Shu grew more and more excited. You did a great job. I also heard that Jin was beaten up today and his new company terminated his contract. Quan asked curiously, how do you know all this? Wu Shu continued, Jin's distant cousin is best friends with my cousin, believe it or not. She not only told me, but also sent me pictures of him being beaten up. Gotta go, I have something to do. I'll send you the photos later. Quan nodded, okay, go ahead. After hanging up, she immediately opened the photos Wu Shu sent and discovered it was Qilin in the photos. Zooming in, she realized the location was the pier near her home. Quan became suspicious. Could it have been Song Zhaoli? But why would he do that? The scene changed to the hospital lobby. The hallway was empty. Li Yaobei was in much better shape today, even able to take out a mirror to look at himself. Not bad, not bad. My face isn't ruined. Last night was such a toss and turn that he didn't sleep a wink. Song Zhaoli sat beside him, scrolling through his phone, silent. Li Yaobei glanced at him and muttered, that woman of his is really ruthless and vicious too. Hearing his friend's words, Song Zhaoli defended her. What's wrong with being ruthless? Do you want her to be a pushover forever, for anyone to walk all over? Li Yaobei Smirka. So you finally admit she's yours. He pressed on, since you care so much about her, and even stayed up all night, why didn't you just step in and help her yourself? Song Zhaoli retorted, if someone stabbed you, would you want to retaliate yourself, or have me do it for you? Li Yaobei yawned. All right, I understand. Song Zhaoli challenged him. What exactly do you understand? Li Yaobei struck a pose. I understand that you act all innocent on the surface, but you're actually very calculating. Song Zhaoli raised his knife threateningly. I think Wu Shu went easy on you. Li Yaobei flinched, backing down. Okay, let's talk about you. What are you going to do? Just then, Quan sent a message. Did you beat up Jin? The question gave Song Zhaoli a headache. How should he answer her this time? It was already afternoon at the apartment complex. Inside Quan's apartment, in the living room, Song Zhaoli's call came through. She looked at her phone in surprise. Why is Song Zhaoli calling? Thinking, she answered the phone. Hello. He immediately asked, are you awake? Are you hungry? Quan replied, puzzled, what are you doing? Where are you right now? Song Zhaoli's lips curved slightly. Walk to the window and look down. She did as he said and looked down. Song Zhaoli looked up, his voice low. Hi. Seeing Song Zhaoli, Quan was startled. She glanced at her phone again and stammered, slightly embarrassed, I haven't changed yet. Composing herself, Quan added, wait a minute, I'll be right down. Song Zhaoli's voice remained low. No rush. Take your time. A while later, Quan came downstairs. She had chosen a red, off-the-shoulder top that accentuated her fair skin and looked around for Song Zhaoli. He was leaning against his car, watching her with a slight smile. They stood there, gazing at each other for a long moment. Song Zhao broke the silence. Have you eaten? Quan replied, not yet. He immediately suggested, then let's go eat. I haven't eaten either. His voice softened. What do you want to eat? Quan replied without hesitation. How about the noodle shop at the entrance of the complex? Seeing his hesitation, she emphasized, it's really good. He pouted. Can't we go somewhere further away? Quan said a little awkwardly, I have some things to deal with today. Although reluctant, Song Zhao agreed. Fine. I thought you didn't like going out with me. Hearing this, Quan explained, of course not. He turned and lightly touched her shoulder. It's so close, why don't we walk? She agreed instinctively. Okay. They were happy, but poor Qilin was still sitting in the car, crying his eyes out. What about me? Before they knew it, they had arrived at the noodle shop. As soon as they entered, the owner called out, Xiao Ji's here. Quan replied casually, a large bowl for me this time. The owner responded immediately, coming right up. Quan turned to Song Zhao. President Song, do you want to order anything else? The side dishes here are also very good. But he just kept wiping the table, not saying a word. After a while, he asked innocently, is the treatment at Wansheng really that bad? She continued awkwardly, President Song, let me just ask. Song Zhao also stopped wiping, crossed his arms, and said haughtily, I apologize for the inconvenience, Director G. She went straight to the point without hesitation. President Song, I don't want to beat around the bush. Did you order someone to beat up Xiao Jin? Song Zhao admitted it frankly, his expression calm. Yes. He added, don't beat around the bush either. I'll ask you directly. He looked at the shy girl in front of him and asked, then why do you think I did that? Quan thought carefully. Song Zhao and Xiao Jin had no prior conflict, so why would he do this? Wasn't it obvious? Thinking of this, she lowered her head and whispered, thank you. Song Zhao pressed his advantage. You're just going to treat me to a bowl of noodles. Quan Li. Of course not. Song Zhao persisted, his eyes fixed on her. Then you just said thank you. You haven't answered my question. Why do you think I helped you? Hearing this, Quan remained silent. He asked again, are you afraid to say it, or do you not want to face it? Quan was caught in a dilemma. She explained with a troubled expression, President Song, I have a boyfriend. He's Wu Jia's cousin. We love each other. I can't do anything to betray him. Song Zhao's lips curved slightly. Is that so? He looked at her meaningfully. Then why did you sleep with me? Quan was stunned by the sudden question. Song Zhao didn't let her off easily. Aren't you going to explain? Quan was momentarily speechless, thinking, how could she explain this? No matter how she put it, it wasn't something a decent person would do. Fortunately, the owner came over with 2 bowls of noodles, smiling. Your noodles are here. She took the noodles, secretly relieved. She was saved. Unexpectedly, the person she saw as her savior asked a fatal question. Is this handsome young man your boyfriend? Hearing this, Quan choked and coughed violently. She awkwardly explained, no, he's just my boss. The owner then noticed the hickey on Song Zhao's neck. Having reached a conclusion, she patted Quan's shoulder and said with a knowing smile, I understand. Young people like to play role-playing games, right? These 2 bowls of noodles are 20 yuan. Consider it a congratulations. Song Zhao, eavesdropping the whole time, was in a great mood and ate his noodles with gusto. It's on me today. After a while, the 2 finished their noodles, and naturally, Song Zhao paid. He looked at the owner and said, Auntie, I've transferred the money. Quan hesitated slightly and said softly, President Song, didn't we agree that I would treat you? He teased, who told you that? Then he said seriously, do you think you can repay what you owe me with a bowl of noodles worth 20 yuan? Hearing this, Quan wondered, did he want her to treat him to another meal? Sure enough, Song Zhao turned and walked ahead, stating clearly, I'm treating this time, you treat next time. Quan could only agree, all right. Out of the noodle shop, Song Zhao comforted her in a low voice. Xiao Jin won't bother you again. Don't dwell on the past. Quan looked up at him with complex emotions. Then Song Zhao leaned down and advised, let the past be the past. You need to look forward, understand. She stared at him blankly and subconsciously blurted out, President Song. Unsure of her own feelings, she lowered her head and said, thank you. By the time she returned to her apartment building, it was already dark. Quan's mind was filled with Song Zhao's words. Look forward. What lay ahead? The more she thought, the more confused she became. What did she really feel about him? Quan's steps slowed. The scene from that night flashed through her mind again. That night, she had indeed been a little drunk at first, but what happened after that? She had subconsciously loosened Song Zhao's tie and naturally pulled him down for a kiss. Thinking of this, she reached out and caught a falling leaf. Her mind was a tangled mess, unsure of what she truly wanted. She had been completely sober afterwards. On the road, traffic flowed, and lights shone brightly. In the car, Song Jiali was lost in thought. The driver asked awkwardly, "President Song." He responded sullenly, The driver hesitated, then asked, "Do you like Director G?" Song Jiali took a drag of his cigarette, looked out the window, and murmured, "What if I do?" Quan, having just showered, was already planning to pretend to be Wu Shu's brother Wu Rui's girlfriend to meet his parents on the weekend, and decided to go to bed early. Just then, her phone vibrated. Quan replied, "What's up?" The other person replied, "Nothing, just wondering what you're doing." Another message came. "Any plans for the weekend, Director G?" Quan was puzzled, thinking, "Chilin, why are you looking for me so late?" At the same time, Song Jiali gripped his phone, his expression complex, and sneered softly, "Going home to meet mom with your boyfriend." Thinking of this, Song Jiali clenched his phone in anger. The next morning, Quan confidently walked out of her apartment wearing black high-top sneakers. Downstairs, she greeted Wu Rui. "Hey, thanks for your help today." He smiled and said, "No problem. Wu Shu told me everything. Just relax today." He winked. "I'll definitely play the boyfriend role perfectly. If we break up later, your aunt will definitely think it's all my fault." Quan was amused by him. They soon arrived at her mother's house. As soon as they entered, Wu Rui greeted her mother enthusiastically. "Auntie, hello. It's a pleasure to meet you. I brought a small gift. I hope you like it." He acted particularly attentive and chatted with her mother very congenially. "You're welcome. Auntie, please accept it." Watching this scene, Quan secretly breathed a sigh of relief, thinking that he was acting really well. Her mother would definitely be reassured. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Quan quickly said, "You guys chat. I'll go open the door." She hurried to open the door. Unexpectedly, Song Jiali was standing outside, his expression calm. Quan was visibly stunned, stammering, "Why you? Why are you here?" Song Jiali said with a hint of playful amusement, "Director G, aren't you going to invite me in?" Wu Rui stood up, looking puzzled. Seeing his rival in love, Song Jiali's face darkened, his voice laced with a threat. "Director Wu, are you and Quan dating?" Wu Rui was visibly startled, stammering, why yes. In the back seat, Chilin mourned for his handsome boss. Oh no, the CEO is the third wheel again. Quan, a little confused, walked forward and asked, "President Song, why are you here? Is there something you need from me?" Although feeling quite displeased, Song Jiali forced a smile. "Of course it's work-related. What else could it be? Do you think we have some kind of secret?" Quan raised an eyebrow, as if to say, "Are you serious?" Song Jiali retorted smugly, "We do now." She fumed inwardly, thinking that if he didn't have a legitimate reason for coming across town to find her, even on her day off, she'd. Song Jiali, with his back to her, continued, "That person just now, is he the boyfriend you mentioned?" Quan was a little surprised, a flicker of panic on her face. "Yes." Hearing this, he suddenly stopped walking. He asked in a low, emotionless voice, "What do you think of him?" Quan didn't know how to answer for a moment, touching her cheek, thinking. Then she approached Song Jiali, smiling. "He's a good person, very humorous and witty." Hearing the person he liked praise another man right in front of him, Song Jiali's expression clearly soured. He suppressed his emotions, forcing a smile. "I'm not here to listen to you talk about this. Let's get in the car." Quan was annoyed, cursing him under her breath. "Didn't you ask first?" Before long, the two were sitting in the car. Quan asked in a businesslike tone, "President Song, is there a problem with the project? How urgent is it that you had to come all the way across town to find me?" But Song Jiali clenched his fists, his expression complex, struggling internally. After a moment, he said in a low voice, "The wound on my back has scabbed over," the implication being a hint at their past intimacy. He then stopped beating around the bush. "It's itching like crazy, but I can't scratch it. If I do, it'll bleed." But Quan's mind was full of work, and she asked, "President Song, what's wrong with the project?" Suddenly, Song Jiali leaned closer, his voice low. "What do you think?" Quan looked at him, puzzled. Song Jiali said, "There are some things you know you shouldn't touch, but you still can't help but want to get close." He leaned closer and closer, asking, "What would you do?" Song Jiali lifted Quan's chin, his breath lightly brushing her face, his eyes fixed on her, as if trying to discern every subtle expression. Was Song Jiali hinting at something else? He pressed her against the car door, his tall figure trapping her, one hand braced against the door, blocking her escape. The distance between them grew smaller and smaller, and Quan could even hear his steady breathing. She looked up at him, taking a light breath, worried that she was overthinking, but also afraid that she wasn't thinking enough. Her voice was calm and slow, with a hint of coldness. There are some things you know you shouldn't touch, so it's best not to touch them. If you have to touch them, success is bravery, failure is foolishness. Song Zhaoli's slender fingers lifted her chin, forcing her to look directly at him, his eyes deep and dark. He raised an eyebrow, slightly, a faint smile playing on his lips. So you're advising me to give up on something I know I shouldn't pursue. He paused. What if I refuse to listen? Quan looked away, avoiding the pressure in his eyes, her voice as light as the wind. If you can't control it, then let the wound fester and finally cut it off with one swift stroke. It's less painful that way. Ruthless. The smile on Song Zhaoli's lips gradually disappeared, and a terrifying silence fell over the car. His eyes darkened, a flicker of displeasure flashing through them, cursing inwardly. This woman is truly cruel. Quan returned home, the familiar living room bringing her a sense of warmth. Her mother and Wu Rui were both home, and they got up to greet her when she returned. Her mother spoke first, asking with concern, Quan, is that business partner of yours giving you a hard time? What kind of partner chases you down to talk about work on the weekend? Honestly, who would do that? Quan replied, he's just a heartless business partner, Mom, don't worry. As soon as she finished speaking, the image of that difficult man flashed through her mind. Song Zhaoli sat in the car, his expression cold, his long fingers flipping through the proposal page by page, his brow furrowed in obvious dissatisfaction. This proposal isn't fashionable enough. The style needs to be elevated, more depth. Next week is too late for revisions. I want to see it today, understand. Quan wasn't usually one to think the worst of people, but now she was certain that Song Zhaoli was deliberately making things difficult for her. She took a deep breath, trying to suppress her anger. He was clearly nitpicking, talking for a long time without giving any specific requirements. After finishing her conversation with her mother, Quan turned to Wu Rui with a gentle smile. Sorry, I have to finish revising the proposal today. It looks like I'll have to spend time with you another day. Wu Rui smiled easily. It's okay. I understand you have a business partner. There will be other opportunities. After seeing Wu Rui off, I'll come back. Quan returned to the study and immersed herself in revising the proposal. Time slipped away quietly amidst the clicking of the keyboard. Quan worked until 8 p.m. before finally stopping, leaning back in her chair and letting out a long sigh. It was finally done. She carefully checked it one last time and sent the revised version to Song Zhaoli. Only then did she realize how late it had gotten. Looking up, she saw her mother standing at the doorway, the room's light illuminating her loving face. She quietly watched her daughter, her eyes filled with a touch of heartache and tender affection. Her mother walked over with a plate of sliced fruit and said gently, Quan, are you finished? Have some fruit. Quan zipli, okay, Mom. Sit down and rest for a while too. Mother and daughter exchanged a look. Quan saw her mother looking at her intently. She leaned forward slightly, her tone playful and curious. Mom, what are you looking at? Her mother smiled tenderly, her eyes full of affection. Nothing, just thinking how grown up my Quan is, so capable and beautiful. A loving mother and a virtuous daughter. The atmosphere was warm and peaceful, like a tender portrait of motherhood. Suddenly, the smile on her mother's face froze, her face turning pale in an instant. Her body swayed, and she suddenly collapsed to the floor. Quan's expression changed drastically. In a panic, she jumped up and rushed to her mother's side. Mom. Her mother bit her lip, large beads of sweat appearing on her forehead. Her face was pale, and her lips trembled slightly as if she wanted to say something, but her throat was tight, and she couldn't utter a word. Seeing her mother's face turning purple, Quan panicked, her voice trembling. Mom, what's wrong? Her mother, seeing her daughter's panic, weakly grasped her hand, and before she could say anything, she fainted. Quan's fingers trembled as she gripped her mother tightly. After a few seconds of panic, she forced herself to calm down and dialed the emergency number. Hello, is this 120? After making the call, Quan remembered that they lived in an old building with narrow stairwells, and she worried that a stretcher wouldn't fit. Biting her lip, she fought back tears and ran to the door, shouting at the opposite apartment. Annie Zhao, are you home?" Her voice trembled with urgency and despair. "My mom fainted. I'm afraid the ambulance won't make it in time." Quan called out repeatedly, her eyes burning, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably. Just then, a deep, familiar male voice suddenly asked, "What's wrong?" Quan jumped, turning to see Song Zhaoli in a neat suit, his deep gaze meeting hers. What happened? Song Zhaoli had come upstairs because Quan hadn't been answering her phone, and he was still overthinking things, unaware that Washu had already left. He had regretted coming up as soon as he started up the stairs, but he couldn't help himself. And then he heard Quan crying. Quan looked up at him. In the dim hallway, her eyes were red and swollen, tears still clinging to the corners, and even the tip of her nose was pink. He silently observed her, her face filled with panic and helplessness, a stark contrast to her usual composure. Song Zhaoli lowered his head, his brow furrowed. Song Zhaoli's car sped through the night, arriving at the hospital 20 minutes later. The atmosphere in the examination room was suffocating. Quan looked at the doctor, her voice urgent and trembling. "Doctor, what's wrong with my mother?" The doctor glanced at her, his tone unkind. "You're her daughter, and you don't even know your own mother's condition." Quan was momentarily speechless. Just as she was about to explain, Song Zhaoli spoke coldly. "As a doctor, you don't even have the most basic professional ethics. Are all the doctors in this hospital like this? Or is it just you?" Song Zhaoli had a naturally imposing presence, especially when he wasn't smiling, which made him even more intimidating. "What's wrong with her?" The doctor took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. "She has end-stage renal failure and needs a kidney transplant. There's no suitable donor yet, so we can only wait." As his words fell, the air seemed to solidify. All sound was sucked away, leaving only the sound of her own heartbeat in her ears. Quan's mind went blank, tears streaming down her face uncontrollably as she looked at the doctor in disbelief. Why? Her body trembled uncontrollably, her legs weak, almost giving way. How could this be? Just then, a strong arm reached out from behind and steadied her. Song Zhaoli's cold aura enveloped her, solid as a rock. He looked down, his deep gaze falling on the girl in his arms. She was so light, her shoulders thin, her whole body trembling. Song Zhaoli softly comforted her, "Don't panic." But Quan couldn't help but panic. Song Zhaoli lowered his eyes. "Let's go outside." Before she could react, he grabbed her wrist and pulled her out. His hand was cold, his grip firm but not rough. Quan stumbled as he pulled her along, choking out, "Present Song." Once in the hallway, Quan looked at him, her tone strange. "I've finished revising the proposal. I sent it to your email." Song Zhaoli looked directly into her eyes. "I've reviewed it. You did a good job. It's approved." Quan looked up at him. "Thank you, President Song. I really appreciate it today." Her words were sincere, but also subtly distant. Seeing that she was no longer so tense, Song Zhaoli got straight to the point about the kidney donor. "Quan, I'll find a way." The matter was so significant that she could hardly believe her ears. She was stunned, not expecting him to bring it up. She had assumed he was merely comforting her. There's no such thing as a free lunch. Quan didn't believe Song Zhaoli would help her without reason. She was insignificant to him. She clenched her hands, her nails digging into her palms. Her eyes reddened, brimming with tears. "President Song, what do you want?" Quan choked, tears slipping down her cheeks. Silence hung in the air, leaving only her heavy breathing in the hospital corridor. Song Zhaoli just stood there quietly, his gaze deep, emotions swirling within. He slowly raised a hand to rub his forehead, sighing softly, thinking, "What do I want? If I could really get what I want, I wouldn't be standing here now. Earlier in the car, why was I downstairs at her apartment?" Long fingers held a cigarette, white smoke curling around him. Hadn't she made herself clear? Suddenly, the smell of smoke became acrid. But just then, he heard her choke sobs. At that moment, Quan looked up, her face streaked with tears, her wet lashes and red eyes filled with shock. My body reacted before my mind did. Song Zhaoli didn't hesitate. Song Zhaoli was silent for a moment before slowly saying, "Consider it a reward." Quan's eyes widened at his words. Seeing her reaction, Song Zhaoli feigned ignorance. "Compared to beauty, I prefer a capable and reliable assistant." Quan froze, looking up at him, tears still glistening in her eyes, unable to look away. The corners of Song Zhaoli's mouth, lifted slightly, but there was no trace of a smile in his eyes. Between a woman and power, I will always choose power. Quan fell silent, her wariness growing. People tend to become suspicious when they're down on their luck. Her life had been anything but peaceful since she met Song Zhao. Although he had never used forceful methods on her, his indirect approach, his subtle guidance, made it all the easier to fall deeper. After a while, Quan lowered her head, her long lashes trembling, tears flowing uncontrollably. She had just started to say, "I don't," when Song Zhao interrupted her. "I know you don't trust me." His voice was soft, gently caressing her face as he wiped away her tears. "I know you don't trust me, but Quan." He paused, his voice low and gentle. "Quan, there must be cracks in life for the light to get in." Quan looked at him in shock, surprise filling her eyes. Song Zhao withdrew his hand. "You don't need to be so guarded around me. While I'm no saint, I'm not entirely a bad person either." Standing before her was still the same indifferent and unpredictable Song Zhao, but there seemed to be a hint of warmth in his eyes. "Give me a chance. Give yourself a chance, okay?" Quan's eyes widened, her heart skipping a beat. Quan's mother woke up early in the morning and saw Quan sitting by the bed. Her voice was hoarse. Quan, has your boss left?" Quan hadn't actually slept. She had been lost in thought. Hearing her mother's voice, she immediately came back to herself and gently took her mother's hand. "Mom, are you feeling unwell?" Her mother shook her head slightly, her eyes dimming, her voice choked with emotion. Quan, I'm such a burden to you." Her hand trembled as she gripped her daughter's, her voice thick with distress. "If it weren't for this family, if it weren't for me, with your abilities, you wouldn't have to live like this." "Mom, don't talk about being a burden." She had cried all night until she had no tears left. But now, she was completely calm. She knew clearly that if she broke down now, her family would truly be finished. She squeezed her mother's hand tightly. "Mom, I've asked the doctor. Your illness isn't serious. It can be treated. Quan, listen to me. I won't get treatment. Save the money and live a good life." Before she could finish, Quan interrupted her. "Mom, don't worry about the money. I'll find a way." She silently told herself that her mother was the only family she had left in this world, and she had to cure her mother's illness no matter what. "Mom, don't worry. I can handle it." At 2 o'clock in the morning at Song Zhao's home, he had just finished showering after working late and was coming out of the bathroom when he heard a knock at the door. Steam still swirled around his toned skin as he emerged from the bathroom, his dark hair damp, droplets tracing the lines of his collarbone and muscles. Song Zhao, thinking it was Qilin, frowned and walked to the door. Opening it, he saw the person standing outside and raised an eyebrow. "Director G, is something the matter?" A violent storm raged through Yinqing tonight, thunder booming and rain pouring down. Song Zhao didn't know how Quan had gotten here, but she was clearly drenched. If her clothes weren't so thick, the situation would have been quite awkward. He frowned, his voice softening. "You're soaked. Come." Her head bowed, her voice trembled slightly. "President Song." Song Zhao remained silent. She looked up, her gaze firm. "Regarding your proposal, I've given it careful consideration." Her breath came in short bursts as her gaze met his calm eyes, unwavering. "Now, I want to give you my answer." Song Zhao spoke slowly, his tone grave, his expression serious. "And what is your answer?" Quan pursed her lips, her gaze piercing, searching the depths of his soul, seeking the emotions he so carefully concealed. She trembled slightly, clenching her fists. "Before I answer, I have a question." Quan looked up at him, her eyes rimmed with red, but filled with determination. She stared directly at him. "President Song, I want to be sure. Do you truly want to take care of me, or do you want to recruit me?" They stared at each other for a moment, water still dripping from Song Zhao's hair after a shower. Quan's bluntness made Song Zhao's Adam's apple bob, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his eyes. After a moment, instead of answering directly, he placed a hand on the door behind him and countered, "Do you want to be taken care of, or do you want to be recruited?" Song Zhao moved closer, instantly lessening the distance between them. The atmosphere shifted, becoming charged, catching Quan off guard. She frowned, displeased by the counter-question, but remained composed, answering frankly and succinctly without a trace of flattery. "Recruited." Song Zhao nodded slightly, his tone casual. "Then recruited it is." Hearing the word recruited from Song Zhao's lips, Quan's face lit up, her eyes sparkling with joy. She bowed deeply to him. "Thank you, President Song. I apologize for disturbing you so late." With that, She turned to leave. Song Xiaoli's expression darkened. He reached out and caught her wrist. Wait. Quan turned back, her gaze falling on his hand, gripping her wrist. Like a startled kitten, she puffed out her cheeks and pulled her hand away. President Song, is there anything else? Song Xiaoli's face was expressionless. The rain is too heavy. I'll take you back. Quan's tone was cool and distant. President Song, we are superior and subordinate. Your behavior is inappropriate. He echoed her words, a note of reprimand in his voice. We are superior and subordinate. Your manner of speaking to me is also inappropriate. Indeed, no one dared to speak to their superior in such a chastising tone. With that, he turned and went back to his bedroom to change, not waiting for her refusal. About 5 minutes later, Song Xiaoli reappeared at the door, wearing a trench coat and holding another coat in his hand. Sorry to keep you waiting. He strode out and draped the coat over Quan's shoulders. Quan was taken aback, caught completely off guard by his gesture. Too surprised to react, she simply stood there, feeling the warmth of the coat. Song Xiaoli had already turned to leave, glancing back at her with a slight upturn of his lips. Let's go. Quan opened her mouth to speak, then swallowed her words. Clutching the coat he had given her, she nodded slightly and murmured, Outside, raindrops fell like pearls. The city lights reflected in the puddles, shimmering with a captivating brilliance, like a beautiful symphony of light. Quan followed Song Xiaoli, maintaining a distance, yet still feeling a sense of warmth and security. They walked in silence. Suddenly, Song Xiaoli stopped. I'm giving you a week off. I'll handle the handover procedures at Wanshang for you. Quan replied, Thank you, President Song. Song Xiaoli's tone was cool. Verbal thanks aren't necessary. Quan was taken aback by his words. He chuckled, a playful glint in his eyes. I'm a businessman. I don't do anything that doesn't benefit me. Show your gratitude with actions. Despite his cool tone, his expression put Quan at ease, making her wonder if she had misjudged him. She silently resolved to prove her loyalty to him. Don't worry, President Song, I won't let you down. He gave her a capitalist smile, satisfied with his subordinate's enthusiasm. Good, I'll be waiting. Oh, right, the coat. Quan suddenly remembered and started to take it off to return it to him. Song Xiaoli stopped her. Keep it, he said, his voice suddenly softening, his gaze warming. You can return it to me another time. Quan softly replied with an okay. Under the streetlight, the two locked eyes. Quan, with her elegant features and bright, goddess-like eyes, stood before Song Xiaoli, his refined demeanor and deep gaze meeting hers. They stood side by side next to the luxury car, a dazzling scene. Song Xiaoli led Quan into the hospital. In those few short minutes, neither of them noticed someone secretly taking their picture from a hidden corner. A woman in sunglasses and black clothing stood with a white-haired girl. The white-haired girl asked in surprise, Dodo, isn't that Song Xiaoli? Why is he in Yinqing so late? He must be spending the night with her, right? Hearing the white-haired girl's words, the woman in black's face instantly hardened. She clenched her fists until her knuckles turned white, gritting her teeth as she suppressed her fury. She turned to look at Song Xiaoli and Quan, her gaze settling on Song Xiaoli. He looked happy, a warm and charming smile playing on his lips. She thought in disbelief, had Song Xiaoli ever smiled like that before?